Chapter 116. This highness will take it. When the shrill screams echoed in the cave, many people couldn't help but cast their eyes on Luxiang, who was being eaten by the ice crocodile. Then their gazes shifted to Lu Muyen. She stood on a high rock in spotless white clothes with an indifferent expression, holding a golden long whip. Behind her, the frozen water elemental energy beaded curtain broke inch by inch, turning into light blue powder, scattering in the air. Many people cast disapproving glances at her. Luxiang used an external force to increase her cultivation base to kill Lu Muyen, so she deserved to die, but why did Lu Muyen kill her and also throw her in front of a demonic beast to eat? Such an approach was too cruel. This was the thought of many of the pupils of the 10 distinguished clans. The good feelings and admiration for Lu Muyen they originally had instantly faded, and there was even a faint dislike. Lu Muyen didn't care about other people's opinions, nor explained. She turned around to avoid the crazy demonic beasts and landed beside the lava, standing there quietly. Lu Muyen, they think you're too cruel. Lan Si watched her emotionless expression as she stood beside him. He revealed a gentle smile, as if knowing why she did it, and didn't have a trace of disgust. Instead, a kind of appreciation rose from his heart. He had seen countless women. They were either cruel, either kind, either gentle, either hypocritical, either arrogant or the like, but there had never been a woman who constantly refreshed his understandings like Lu Muyen. Lu Muyen didn't move, staring at the bubbling hot lava, and then whispered after a bit, "Doesn't matter." Yi Zhan looked askance at the girl beside her. His eyes that were boundless and deep like the sea fluctuated slightly. The gazes of Yi Qinghan, Yun Lan, and the others that were cast on Lu Muyen were all very soft, and they weren't disgusted by what she had done just now. Luxiang was just looking for death, so who could she blame? Bang! Following the shrill screams and the roar of the demonic beasts in the cave, the surrounding rocks shook and an explosive sound with dense, strong elemental energy resounded throughout the cave. The humans and demonic beasts currently fighting all looked in the direction of the ice crocodile with lingering fear. At this time, the place had been razed to the ground and the flesh and blood of more than a dozen Tier 5 demonic beasts splattered across the area. This sort of power was already very close to the full blow of a sword sovereign powerhouse. So that Luxiang wanted to self-destruct by borrowing the external force. The faces of those people who had thought Lu Muyen was cruel now turned pale. If Luxiang's body hadn't been thrown so far and was eaten by the ice crocodile, the elemental energy from the self-destruction would be even greater, and the people and demonic beasts who fought in the central area wouldn't be spared from being affected. The fights between the sword sovereign powerhouses were all being suppressed because below them were still the pupils of the various clans, so the energy use wasn't spread too much to avoid hurting their own pupils. But Luxiang obviously had no scruples at all. If they were affected by her self-destruction, even if they didn't die, they'd be heavily injured. Those who originally had some sympathy for Luxiang all spat at her and were irritated with her in their hearts. There were some other emotions in their eyes that looked towards Lu Muyen. The disgusted expressions were replaced by complexity, and a few people even had faint gratitude in their eyes. Even if Luxiang's target was Lu Muyen, but if she self-destructed, there was no difference between enemy or friend. This time, it was indeed Lu Muyen who saved them. Lu Muyen, however, had no intention of being concerned about the complex gazes that had changed. Her heart was currently beating hard at this moment, as if there was something beckoning her at the bottom of the deep lava pool. Lu Muyen, you're really only 16 years old. My interest in you is really getting stronger and stronger. Lan Si suddenly leaned down beside Lu Muyen, his even breath landing beside her ear. Lu Muyen stepped back, furrowed her brows, and looked at Lan Si, saying, "If you're really bored, why not think about how to deal with Senior Yi? Come and read on our website Wuxia World site." Thanks. A meaningful smile rose on Lan Si's gentle and elegant face. It turns out that aside from him, you also know A color of surprise flashed past Yixian's eyes, then he held back his emotions. He looked up and saw the golden light, grabbed by the ancestor of the Shui clan, suddenly spill out from his fingers. Then it assembled again and turned into an even brighter golden light, flying into the bottom of the lava pool. Don't hide anything anymore, whoever snatches it will it belong to who? When the golden light fell into the lava, Yixian immediately took out his jade flute on his waist, flew up and slashed at the lava pool. Lan Si also put away the smile on his face, took out his long sword and swung a strong sword light at the lava. Meanwhile the sword sovereigns who were fighting in the distance looked at each other in confusion. Then they saw the part of the lava that Yixian and Lan Si attacked suddenly erupt and shoot up a pillar of fiery lava. The pillar of fire held a spar with a dark golden appearance but flowing golden liquid in the middle. Instantly, the magnificent and beautiful rainbow that was above the mountain suddenly appeared above the pillar of fire, then turned into a seven-colored stream of light, scattering onto the dark golden spar. The flowing golden liquid in the spar instantly solidified and a layer of soft light enveloped it, radiant and colorful, truly breathtaking. A faint fragrance spread from the heavenly frost golden crystal, filling the entire cave. This is the birth of the heavenly frost golden crystal. A sword sovereign watched the formation of the heavenly frost golden crystal in amazement, then flew over immediately. 7 other light figures flew out, following him. Except their speed was still a few steps behind 2 figures, one black, one blue, that were already approaching the top of the pillar of fire. Lu Muyan's eyes brightened. She continued to form seals with one hand as she tapped her foot lightly and flew towards the pillar of fire. She slapped out a palm and an icy hurricane engulfed the surrounding fire. No one noticed that a transparent jade-colored rune was quietly fused with the ice elemental energy condensation hurricane, surreptitiously blasting towards the pillar of fire. And that pillar of fire that rose towards the sky, together with the heavenly frost golden crystal it birthed, was instantly wrapped in a layer of frost and turned into an ice pillar. Yixian furrowed his brows. He slashed his flute again and a soft light, as if encompassing everything, whizzed out, slashing straight towards the top of the ice pillar, cutting off the ice-enveloped heavenly frost golden crystal. Lan Si's lips curled up and the long sword in his hand sliced down at the same time, carrying with it a power as if capable of destroying the heaven and earth. It just so happened to fall on the heavenly frost golden crystal, and the heavenly frost golden crystal was instantly cut into 5 segments, flying out in different directions. The 2 headed in different directions and caught one each while Lu Muyan stopped in her steps and stood atop the ice pillar with folded arms, watching the others compete for it. The other sword sovereigns didn't even think as they each flew in one of the 3 directions, all with the intention of at least collecting one of the pieces, then think things through later. Yet who knew that they had yet to touch the heavenly frost golden crystal when they were blocked by countless sword auras that suddenly scattered from a corner. Then a red-clothed man wearing a silver mask appeared in mid-air mysteriously. He was tall in build with a domineering and noble temperament, as if looking down upon the world. With just a wave of his hand, the 3 pieces of the heavenly frost golden crystal that was flying towards the outside actually obediently circled around, turning back, and landed in his hand. The heavenly frost golden crystal, This Highness will take it. Translation provided by May Our Come True. Chapter 117 Jealous Note, unedited as I needed to do something. We'll edit updated version ASAP later today in mid-air. Mingxiu stretched out his arm and held the 3 frozen heavenly frost golden crystal in his hands. He looked indifferently and coldly at the sword sovereigns, glaring as if a tiger eyeing its prey. He held up a piece of heavenly frost golden crystal to play with, looking down with a bit of tease in his eyes, and said in an extremely arrogant tone, "This heavenly frost golden crystal is in This Highness' hands. If you want them, come get it." Humph, from where did such an arrogant person come out from? You and I are both sword sovereigns. With you alone you want to provoke us all, you truly are courting death. The Shui clan's ancestor looked at the red-clothed man in the sky with cold eyes. This man gave him a sense of oppressive danger. But the Heavenly Frost Golden Crystal's attraction was simply too great. He suggested to the other sword sovereigns and demonic cultivators, "Let's go together. Whoever obtains the Heavenly Frost Golden Crystal will it be whose." His words made the other sword sovereigns and demonic cultivators interested, and they flew up together, surrounding Ming Xiu. They nobiliated their elemental energy together to utilize their magic tools, wanting to kill him first, then obtain the Heavenly Frost Golden Crystal. Yi Zhan, who was standing by the lava, didn't join the siege of Ming Xiu. His gaze was deep and far-reaching. Seeing Lan Si walk to the side with a piece of Heavenly Frost Golden Crystal, he unconsciously said, "That person is very strong." Lan Si meaningfully swept his gaze over to Lu Mu Yen, who stood atop the ice pillar, watching the battle fixedly. Then he cast his gaze on the silver-masked, red-clothed man. "Those people are all sending themselves to their deaths." The indifference in Ming Xiu's eyes didn't fade despite being surrounded, as if these sword sovereigns were irrelevant to him. They were being underestimated. This was the first feeling of the several sword sovereigns. "Go!" The ancestor of the Shui clan narrowed his eyes and brandished a red silk ribbon from within his sleeve. This was his high-grade spirit treasure. Every time it was brandished, it had never been in a disadvantage as it trapped sword masters within the red silk. Although it couldn't trap one for long, but it was enough for him to kill the person. Following the ancestor of the Shui clan, all the sword sovereigns who besieged Ming Xiu either swung their swords in anger or attack using their spirit treasures. In an instant, in mid-air, the cave lit up with various colors, carrying strong pressure. The demonic beasts and sword masters below all felt extremely suppressed and difficult to move. A light curve appeared on Ming Xiu's lips, and a golden longsword appeared in his hands. His eyes sharpened and merely waved his sword casually. A violet metal attribute elemental energy sword aura flew from the longsword, forming 9 golden hurricanes, slashing straight towards the 7 humans and 2 demonic beasts. The hurricane formed by the sword aura swept past, and the sword auras that flew towards him collapsed one after the other. Their spiritual treasures also grew dim and returned into the hands of the few people. With disregard in his eyes, he slashed down again. A cyclone exploded from his longsword, then turned into 9 golden rays of light, shooting directly, hitting the 7 humans and 2 demonic beasts. The 7 humans and 2 demonic cultivators all revealed horror in their eyes and immediately took out their defense-type magic tools to block, or slash their swords in return. 7 colored rays of light exploded in mid-air, and the overflowing violent elemental energy instantly spread and affected those below. Yi Zhan's brows furrowed when he saw this, then took off a red jade pendant he wore and threw it above the elite pupils of the 10 distinguished clans. The red jade pendant suddenly grew numerous times larger, forming a powerful shield, and the overflowing 7-colored elemental energy rays of light fell on the pendant, but only made it shake a little, then dispersing. The elite pupils of the 10 distinguished clans below all heaved a sigh of relief. If they were hit by the various 7-colored rays of light, they would have to remain here forever. Pu. The result of the battle in mid-air came quickly. After the 7 humans and 2 demonic cultivators met the 9 golden sword auras, they all, more or less, suffered internal injuries and couldn't help spouting out a mouthful of blood. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks, what? The elite pupils below continued to fight the demonic beasts while observing the battle above. But a scene that caused an uproar and made them dumbfounded occurred. The elders and their clans were actually all beaten back by that red-clothed devilishly handsome man with 1 slash, and were even injured. This was simply inconceivable. Everyone only had one thought in their minds at this time: just who was this man? What cultivation base? Simply too strong. Lu Mu Yen couldn't help revealing surprise in her eyes. She had known long ago that this man, Ming Xiu, was very strong, but she didn't expect he would be this strong. However, when this guy was at Sword Monarch, he could already slay a Sword Sovereign. Now he was already at a Sword Sovereign cultivation base, Plus, after taking the Foundation establishment pill and washing his marrow, wiping out same-level sword sovereigns was naturally possible. Ulpumu Yen, do you know the Hall Master of the Nine-Layer Hall? Lan Si had always been observing Lu Mu Yan's expression, and when he saw her reveal a touch of understanding, he leapt up onto the ice pillar and asked with a smile. Lu Mu Yan looked at him in confusion and asked instead, Nine-Layer Hall. Hearing Lan Si's tone, Ming Xiu should be the Hall Master of the Nine-Layer Hall, but she had never heard of this name. The Nine-Layer Hall is a great entity on Tianling continent, and also the real controller behind the Ming Chamber of Commerce Alliance. And that red-clothed man with a mask is the Hall Master of the Nine-Layer Hall. Seeing Lu Mu Yan with a puzzled expression that didn't seem to be fake, Lan Si didn't hide anything. Lu Mu Yan concealed her emotions and asked with a smile, "What's his name?" There were deep secrets hidden in Lan Si, and perhaps even his identity of an academy teacher is also fake. Being able to recognize Ming Xiu also meant that he must not be ordinary. Don't know. Others all called him His Highness Monarch Ming. Lan Si approached Lu Mu Yan and said with a meaningful smile, "What his name is, Lu Mu Yan, you should be very clear, right?" "What makes you say so?" Lu Mu Yan raised an eyebrow. Lan Si's tone was full of certainty, though half was to trick some more intel, while the other half was certainty. She sure was rather curious at how he knew that she knew Ming Xiu. "That day during the auction, you offended a sword monarch. Wasn't it he who came out to help you out?" Lan Si also participated in that auction. Others only knew that the monarch Ming came out to maintain order for the Ming Chamber of Commerce Alliance, but he discovered that there was a very weak mental energy fluctuation from monarch Ming to Lu Mu Yan at the time. Therefore he was certain that the two weren't only acquainted, but also had a friendship. There were no waves in Lu Mu Yan's eyes, but she had to praise Lan Si in her heart, as expected from a fox. He sure was really observant, so what if we're acquainted, so what if we're not? She neither denied she knew Ming Xiu, nor admitted in person. Shall just keep this Lan fox guessing by himself. "Lu Mu Yan, you little fox." Lan Si whispered into Lu Mu Yan's ear intimately. A nice choice entered Lu Mu Yan's ears with a breath. She wasn't used to being so close to people, so she tapped her foot and leapt off the ice pillar and landed on the edge of the lava pool. This Lan Gox was clearly attempting to coax egrets from her. As if she'd brother him. Seeing Lu Mu Yan's rather helpless look, Lan Si suddenly felt that this woman was also quite cute and couldn't help but chuckle. Except he didn't laugh long because not far away, a golden sword aura turned into an arc and slashed straight towards him from the air. There was a coldness in Ming Xiu's eyes. The man's deliberate intimacy with the little woman just now made him extremely unhappy. At this time, he actually dared to approach and tease her. A killing intent exuded from him. Lan Si narrowed his eyes slightly and with a touch of unnoticeable interest on his lips, he stretched out his long sword and swung it with all his strength before immediately leaping off the ice pillar. Crack! The two sword auras greeted each other, and Lan Si's sword aura was quickly obliterated and dissipated while the golden sword aura directly split the ice pillar into several segments. Lu Mu Yan, Monarch Ming's jealous. If you don't act, teacher will die. Note, ahahaha MX being jealous. Cute. Note, sorry guys, another unedited chapter due to unforeseen circumstances. Yesterday's chapter is updated with edits. I will also edit this chapter ASAP as well. Lan Si's telepathic communication sounded in Lu Mu Yan's sea of consciousness. She turned her head and rolled her eyes at Lan Si. She couldn't hear any fear of Ming Xiu in that fox's voice, and instead, was full of fun. "Woman, don't let other men less than 3 steps close to you in the future." Immediately following, Ming Xiu's nice, clear and magnetic voice entered Lu Mu Yan's sea of consciousness. As soon as she raised her head, she met that pair of deep obsidian-like eyes that carried a faint annoyance. Lu Muyan's lips rose in a slight curve. This guy sure was pretty. He's my teacher, you should resolve the other people first. Ming Xiu's flamboyant and unbridled red robe fluttered gently and he withdrew his attention from Lan Si, not quite in a good mood. He scanned the 7 sword sovereigns and 2 transformation stage demonic cultivators who didn't fare any rashly anymore. Take out your trump cards and use your all to fight against this highness. If you win, the heavenly frost golden crystal is yours. That tone was as presumptuous as it gets, and as arrogant as it gets. Ha! Interesting. Suddenly, a burst of laughter came from outside the cave and the sound grew closer and closer, then finally, it was deafening. Several Sword King stage pupils covered their ears in pain. Lu Muyan's mental power on her sea of consciousness formed a cyclone and wheeled, suppressing the curse-like voice as much as possible. She cast her solemn gaze towards the 3 standing figures that suddenly appeared in the sky within the cave. The leader was an elegant-looking young man and behind him was a woman in yellow clothes and a masked man in cyan clothes. Tier 8 demonic cultivators. Lu Muyan's eyes sank. The arrival of the 3 demonic cultivators made the people and demonic beasts stop their battles. Several sword sovereigns were shocked when they scanned the man's cultivation base. Greetings to Ice Master. The 2 demon cultivators who had besieged Ming Xiu were startled for a moment when seeing the 3 demons, clearly also a little startled, but they didn't dare hesitate and immediately stepped forward and bowed. The leading elegant man held a feather fan with a gentle, cultured, bookish temperament and simply seemed to have no relation to a transformation stage demon cultivator. His eyes were indifferent, but with a casual sweep of his eyes, it made people feel a chill. Whoever has the heavenly frost golden crystal, take it out. This monarch will take it. His tone was light, as if he was simply talking about something unimportant. Currently, the sword sovereigns of the 10 distinguished clans in mid-air all landed and retreated to the side. This scholarly and refined-looking demon cultivator's level was an entire stage higher than them. They simply didn't dare make any moves. What big talk! What if this highness says no? There was a chill in Ming Xiu's voice, but the arrogance didn't abate. Hearing what Monarch Ming said, Yi Zhan and Lan Si didn't glance at each other and said nothing. The scholarly and refined-looking Ice Master was taken aback for a moment, then sneered. Only a human sword sovereign strength cultivator and you dare to call yourself this highness, how interesting. Interesting. This highness actually finds it boring. There was absolutely no fear in Ming Xiu's eyes, as if the difference in cultivation base between them was nothing. Good. You have personality. I like it. The Ice Master looked around Ming Xiu with interest. Not only did he not get angry, he also showed some appreciation. Take off your mask and let this monarch have a look. If you look handsome and beautiful and is to this monarch's liking, then it doesn't matter if this monarch wouldn't mind rewarding you with the heavenly frost golden crystal. Lu Muyan felt constant cold air overflow from Ming Xiu's body, and she couldn't help but twitch the corners of her lips. So this demonic beast seemed to be gay. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks, this highness still lacks a flying mount. The descendant of the ancient Isolwan can make do. There was a chill on the deep black eyes of Ming Xiu, and a clear and devilishly enchanting laugh sounded from Ming Xiu's lips. What do you think of such? The smile on the Ice Master's eyes slowly vanished and it was replaced by a piece of icy coldness. This devilishly enchanting man didn't only know that he was the descendant of the ancient Isolwan, but he also wanted to make him his mount. What big talk it was. This also made anger he had never had before rise in him. Gasp! The man and woman, and the 2 demon cultivators couldn't help sucking in a deep breath when they heard Ming Xiu's words. This human sword master was truly bold. The Ice Master might look extremely bookish on the surface, but he had a very cruel and changeable temperament. Currently, Ming Xiu, in their eyes, was no doubt equivalent to a dead person. If you want to take this monarch as a mount, then take out some skill and let's take a look. This monarch actually wants to take you back for dual cultivation. Such a beauty is rare. The ice master had coldness in his eyes, but his mouth was extremely cheap. This place is too small. How about we go out to fight? Ming Xiu didn't care about other people's life or death, but was afraid that the battle with this Tier 8 demon cultivator would affect Lu Mu Yen and her elder brother. The ice mazier glanced at the human cultivators below and chuckled. It's not a good problem to be soft-hearted. You will have to change it later after following this monarch. This highness is too lazy to chat with a bird like you. Come fight. Ming Xiu's eyes were stained with a thick layer of battle intent. Ever since he advanced, he always wanted to fight against a sword venerable human or demon, and this stinky bird just so happened to send itself to the door. After vaguely exchanging a glance with Lu Mu Yen, then with a swish Ing Xiu turned into a red stream of light and shot straight to the cave entrance. Woman, be careful. Wait for this highness to return. As the red light disappeared into the cave, Lu Mu Yen also revived Ming Xiu's telepathic words. She furrowed her brows, her expression revealing slight worry. It was really hard to predict the outcome between Ming Xiu, at middle phase sword sovereign cultivation base, and a demon cultivator at initial phase tier 8. That ice master wasn't an ordinary demonic beast and was the same as Mo Yen, a king-class demonic beast. Although its bloodline was slightly inferior to the spirit devourer, but it was definitely still powerful. The ice master saw Ming Xiu disappear in the blink of an eye, and his lips displayed some interest. In a flash, he also turned into a cyan blue light and also disappeared from the cave. The remaining one man and one woman looked at each other. This time they invited the ice master to take the heavenly frost golden crystal, yet who knew that the irresponsible ice master would actually become interested in a human man. But they didn't dare pull teeth from a tiger. Mo Yen, who do you think is stronger, Ming Xiu or ice master? Lu Mu Yen asked telepathically. Mo Yen lifted his eyelids, and his voice was still faint, should be Ming Xiu. Lu Mu Yen chuckled and her tone carried a sense of tease. That bird might not be interested in Ming Xiu after seeing you, Mo Yen. Gays could probably communicate better between the same race. Idiot woman. Mo Yen couldn't help but cursed for the first time, then closed his eyes and ignored Lu Mu Yen. This woman really deserved a beating. Pfft. Lu Mu Yen liked to watch Mo Yen's indifferent face change the most and couldn't help but chuckle. Sky-swallowing python, aside from the man in red who obtained the heavenly frost golden crystal, did two other people also obtain it. The beautiful yellow-clothed woman who followed the ice master raised her pretty wrist lightly and pointed her finger in Yizhan and Lan Sis direction. The feminine demon cultivator nodded and looked at the two with greed in his eyes. They both grabbed a piece each. The woman showed a gorgeous smile on her face and exchanged a glance with the cyan-clothed, masked man beside her. Then they both shot directly out towards Yizhan and Lan Si. Meanwhile, after the ice master left, the pressure that oppressed the demonic beasts below also dissipated. They roared and started biting at the pupils of the 10 distinguished clans again. Lu Mu Yen was curious about the battle between Ming Xiu and Ice Master and raised her foot, wanting to follow him. Yet who knew that after a few steps, several men in black rushed in from the outside. Suddenly, she felt an inexplicable sense of bad omen in her heart. The killing aura of these people was too heavy and it didn't feel like they were here to contend for the heavenly frost golden crystal. Sure enough, the men looked around the cave once, and when they saw her, their eyes displayed endless murderous aura, then charged open an opening to surround her. Chapter 119, Siege to kill the people in black who arrived suddenly instantly attracted the attention of the others, but when they saw that their target was Lu Mu Yen, they were a little surprised. This woman really caused trouble wherever she went, a proper troublemaker. Who are you? Lu Mu Yen held the golden whip in one hand and kept forming hand seals with the other hand hidden beneath her sleeve. The killing intent in these people's eyes were too deep. It seemed that they were here precisely for her. The leading man in black had a hoarse and cold voice. "You'll know when you see Yama." "I sure want to see who's going to see Yama today," Lu Mu Yen said with a rare look of ferocity in her eyes. These people were really pushing her too hard. Ever since Gu Yen ran, they came to her door to provoke her one by one, all wanting her to die. Even a clay bodhisattva had some hot temper. She was truly angered. Yener. When Lu Mu Bai saw the 6 people in black surround Lu Mu Yen, he split the tier 5 demonic beast before him in half, tapped his foot and leapt over beside her. "You sure took the initiative to send yourself before us." The leader in black sneered and made a hand gesture to the 5, "Kill." The other 5 people quickly spread out after observing his orders. Each drew out an identical longsword, channeled their elemental energy into it, then swung towards the 2 together. Upon seeing this, Yi Qinghan, Yunlan and the others quickly resolved the fight with the demonic beasts they were in and leapt over one after the another. They drew their swords and brandished them, colliding with the several sword auras. Lu Mu Yen wasn't idle either, waving her whip continuously. Golden arc lights flew out from her whip, easily blocking 2 sword auras. Lu Mu Bei's long sword slashed in the air and several sounds of thunder and lightning rang from within the cave, slicing fiercely at the sword auras that headed for them. The leader in black obviously didn't expect that the combat power of the 2 would be so strong, and the strength of the few who suddenly came to reinforce them weren't weak either. There was a grimness in his eyes, then he roared, "Set the sword array." After his voice fell, the 5 men immediately flung the long swords in their hands into the sky that then interlaced and arranged themselves, forming an 8 trigram shape. The leading man bore ruthlessness in his eyes and took the lead to break a jade pendant on his neck. A power that didn't belong to him exploded in his dantian. He blew a breath of essence on the long sword in his hand and mumbled a few phrases. The long sword flew out of his hand and fell to the center of the 5 long swords. When the 5 people saw this, they didn't hesitate to tear off the jade pendants on their necks as well and break them, borrowing the external force to increase their cultivation base. When the leader reached peak phase Sword Monarch, and when the other 5 reached peak phase Sword King, they shot out 6 gray rays of elemental energy. It drew an arc in the air before entering the 6 long swords. Wang! The 6 long swords buzzed as if they had intelligence. The sword body trembled a few times, then each flew up and slashed. Sword auras darted fiercely towards the Lu clan's brother and sister one by one. Lu Mu Bai huffed coldly, and a dark green leaf-shaped magic treasure flew out of his hand, greeting the rays of gray sword light stabbing towards them. The leaf spun around a few times in the air, slowly growing in size in the 4 directions, then immediately enveloped Lu Mu Yen and the others. Clash! The sword auras fell on the leaf and made countless crisp sounds. When the 6 men in black saw this, they sat cross-legged on the spot and kept forming hand seals in front of their chests. They bit the tip of their tongues until it bled and spouted a mouthful of blood each onto the sword array, using their bodies as the cauldron. As the formation of the hand seals sped up, the elemental energy they borrowed within their bodies also formed 6 vortexes above their heads, continuously channeling elemental energy into the 6 long swords. Wang! The sword array hummed again, and the gray light brightened. Instantly, the sword aura that was originally diminishing, pressing down on Lu Mu Bei's leaf spirit treasure, was now replenished. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks, clash clash. Sword auras clashed against the leaf relentlessly. Lu Mu Bai expelled a breath of essence onto the leaf and a soft, dark green light shot out from the leaves. With a sudden blow, the gray sword aura was finally blown away and disappeared, but a few cracks also appeared on the leaf. The 6 people were startled, their gaze fierce, then they sped up the transmission of elemental energy. The 6 swords within the sword array scattered from their formation of an 8 trigram and formed a 6-star attack force, shooting sword auras from the sword array one after the other. Yi Qing Han huffed coldly, and a seal carved with the white tiger flew from his hands. Suddenly, a huge white tiger appeared and roared in midair. Roar! With a loud roar, the white tiger's figure leapt out and wielded its two sharp claws, directly facing the sword auras, blocking the offensive sword auras again and again. Yunlan and the others also released their own spirit treasures to withstand against the sword auras, creating a stalemate in the air, neither giving in to the other. Suddenly, 6 more people in the same black clothes rushed up the hillside and they immediately joined the battle when they saw the stalemate in front of them. Lord's secret envoy. As soon as they entered the cave, they respectfully greeted the leading man that was sitting cross-legged. Quickly form the sword array. The man's cold voice sounded again. Yes. The several people immediately sat cross-legged and 6 of the same long swords flew out of their hands, instantly merging into the sword array. Whang! The sword array shone brightly, creating a few pressuring hums. The 12 swords formed a 7-star force. This was the complete sword array. The 6 people broke the jade pendant on their necks and the energy from their dantian also formed vortexes above their heads, constantly sending elemental energy into the sword array. Boom! With the completed sword array, plus the power supply of 6 more peak phase Sword King cultivation bases, the sword auras within the sword array instantly shot out countless times, directly blasting back the spirit treasures of Lu Mu Bai and the others. Lu Mu Yan's hand gestures continued to change, and just when the sword auras broke through Yi Qing Han and the other's spirit treasure defenses, she expelled a breath and a fire dragon dashed out from behind her with momentum like thunder. An ice dragon then rushed up from in front of her, and the 2 dragons raised their heads in the air and roared, then greeted the countless sword auras that fell on their heads. Boom! The 2 different attribute dragons of fire elemental energy condensation and ice elemental energy condensation waved their claws, and the sword auras that neared were all dissipated. Yi Qing Han and the others were all prepared to be injured, so when they saw Lu Mu Yan's condensed flying dragons block and disperse the sword auras, they breathed a sigh of relief. Then they took out other spirit treasures to help. The leading man in black obviously didn't expect Lu Mu Yan to have such an ability. He gritted his teeth and his hoarse and cold voice echoed in the ears of the dozen men in black. Increase the power by another level. They must be killed today. After speaking, he took the lead and threw the broken jade in his hand onto the ground. The broken jade immediately turned into a pile of power, but there was also an invisible external force that penetrated into his body. And his cultivation base immediately broke through from peak phase Sword Monarch to initial phase Sword Sovereign. The other 11 also followed suit in turn, and their cultivation bases broke through peak phase Sword King, arriving at initial phase Sword Monarch. The 12 vortexes continuously expanded from the top of their heads and endless waves of dense elemental energy was channeled into the 7-star sword array. The gray energy in the sword array was even denser, and countless sword auras gathered, forming 2 giant sword phantoms that slashed straight towards the 2 flying dragons. Pang! The sound of violent impact resounded, and the 2 giant swords actually cut the 2 roaring flying dragons into 2 pieces. One comparison used to emphasize that everyone has a temper, even the kindest person. Chapter 120. Giant Swords and Blood Spirits. The power of the sword array was so strong that the ice and fire dragons were cut into 2, then gradually became transparent and dim. Go! The leading black-clothed man formed a Taoist seal and let out a low roar. The 2 giant sword phantoms condensed by sword auras cut down again, directly dispersing the 2 dragons. After the fire and ice dragons disappeared, the giant swords didn't stop, but instead cut straight towards Lu Mu Yan and Lu Mu Bai. Lu Mu Bai's eyes displayed a ruthlessness and firmness that he had never shown before. He bit his finger until it bled and chanted an obscure hex. A few drops of blood essence dripped, and finally all flew towards the middle of his brows. A layer of blood-red mist emitted from him, spreading through the entire sword array with an oppressing pressure. What surprised one was, not long after, Two huge, blood-colored figures emerged from the blood fog, flying into the sky together, towards the two giant swords. Lu Mu Yen was startled. Her eldest brother's skill was a little too strange. The blood spirits that were conceived from one's own blood essence wasn't weaker than those two giant sword phantoms. This sort of skill definitely did great damage to the body. Her entire body emitted a cold determination, and a breath of essence sprayed from her mouth, mixed together with blood essence, landing in the place where the twin dragons were slayed earlier. Suddenly, two transparent jade belts of complicated talisman seals leapt in mid-air, lightly floating, and circled around Lu Mu Bei's blood spirits. The blood spirits instantly changed from blood red to dark red, and the mysterious jade band of Taoist seals continued to wound around. A soul-stirring power radiated from the blood spirits, causing the human cultivators and demon cultivators to cast their gazes one after another towards them, and many people were shocked. The leading black-clothed man also displayed shock and surprise in his eyes. He shut his eyes, then opened them again, replacing everything with decisiveness. He took out a sharp knife and pierced it straight into his own chest. Blood erupted out of his heart and poured into the elemental energy vortex above his head. The gray vortex doubled in size again, with a trace of blood in the middle, then the entire vortex flew directly into the sword array. The other 11 people took out their sharp knives and stabbed it into their chests. Similarly, 11 gray, blood-stained vortexes fell into the sword array. Wang! The sword array uttered a huge hum, and the gray light illuminated the entire cave, extremely dazzling. Then, all the 12 long swords in the sword array actually shattered and turned into 12 gray sword auras that carried energy as if capable of destroying the heaven and earth. Then they plunged into the phantom of the two giant swords. The giant sword phantom swelled up one size and it carried with it a feeling as if it would slice the heaven and destroy the earth as it slashed down. Lu Mu Bai and Lu Mu Yen channeled their entire Bodis elemental energy into the blood spirits. Yi Qin Han, Yun Lan, and the others also didn't hesitate at all, each condensing an elemental energy ball of light in their palms and inserted it into the blood spirits. The brightness of the blood spirits also became a dazzling red. It grew meters by meters and its aura grew stronger and stronger, also having a faint feeling as if it would destroy the heaven and earth. It'll help you guys too. Lan Si, who was fighting the yellow-clothed female demon cultivator, tore apart a layer of the seal in his body. A violent elemental energy burst from his dantian, and his cultivation base rose until it was just about to break though. But he suddenly concentrated on turning the explosive elemental energy into a blue ball of light, flicked his finger lightly, and the ball of light instantly flew into the blood spirits. The elemental energy in his body also returned to calmness and his cultivation base was suppressed, staying at peak phase Sword Monarch. He smiled gently and elegantly at the yellow-clothed woman, then inserted a surplus of the elemental energy just now into his long sword and slashed at the woman. What? The woman never expected that a Sword Monarch strength human sword master would be this difficult to deal with. After all, she was an entire stage higher than the other. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks, but now the attack from the opponent made her heart palpitate and a shadow of death birth within her spontaneously. She immediately took out her strongest defense to protect herself. The sword aura fell on the demonic energy shield in front of her leisurely, but slowly corroding, and in only a moment, there were countless cracks like spider webs on the shield. The sword aura snuck out of those slits and shot directly onto the woman's body. The beautiful, yellow-clothed woman's eyes widened and looked at Lan Si in disbelief. She fell to the ground with flaccid eyes, her breathing slowly vanishing. When Lan Si tore open the seal, Yishan also condensed the elemental energy within him into a light green ball of light and inserted it into the blood spirits. He put the flute in his hand to his mouth and blew it gently, then a string of graceful, rhythmic, and remarkable music floated out from the flute. The cyan-clothed masked demon cultivator who was fighting him suddenly appeared as if he were being disturbed by something in his mind, and his demonic consciousness was dazed for a moment. But the moment he used his will to forcibly recover, his Yaofu that was hidden within his dantian was destroyed by an invisible energy. A cyan demonic beast crystal core burst out from within him. Yizhan stretched out his hand and grabbed for it, and the crystal core fell into his hand. In addition to observing Lu Mu Yen and the others battle with the black-clothed men, the other sword sovereigns and elite pupils also watched the battles of Yizhan and Lan Si. At this time, their eyes all opened wide. These two people sure hid their abilities well. The two Tier 7 transformation stage demon cultivators were just defeated like that by them, without a sound. The sword sovereigns who were originally tempted by the heavenly frost golden crystal and wanted to snatch it, together with the original two demon cultivators, also stopped in their steps and looked at the two with fear. Yizhan and Lan Si's actions were practically identical, but it was all in an instant, all happening before what occurred to the giant swords and the blood spirits. Roar! With Yizhan and Lan Si's elemental energy ball of light inserted, the blood spirits uttered a deafening roar across the sky. The blood sprit's figure continued to grow, then finally turned into a blood-colored giant. They also contained a power as if capable of destroying the heaven and earth. Then they slapped their hands towards the two giant sword phantoms. The pupils with low cultivation bases were all stunned by the roar and bled from their ears and nose. The sword sovereigns of the 10 distinguished clans immediately took action upon seeing this and condensed a shield with elemental energy to envelop all the elite pupils. These were all the best elite pupils of their clans and definitely couldn't be lost because of this training, otherwise they wouldn't be able to explain after returning. With the shield of the strong sword sovereigns, the pupils below avoided the possibility of severe injuries and death. While they sighed with relief, they all looked up at the blood spirits and giant swords. At this time, the power emanating from the blood spirits and giant swords was that even the strong sword sovereigns didn't dare approach, otherwise they'd definitely be severely injured if they didn't die. Boom! The blood spirits grabbed the two giant swords with their hands and a force that shook the sky and earth instantly burst out after the collision within the cave. Even including Yizhan and Lan Si, the other sword sovereigns' expressions also changed, and they quickly channeled more elemental energy to strengthen their shields to protect the safety of the pupils below. Bang bang! The two forces exploded and offset each other, shooting straight into the sky, and actually blasted a huge hole in the active volcano. The cave shook violently, and the falling rocks rolled down. After more than 10 breaths of time, those two forces dissipated into the horizon, together with the feeling of fear. Pu. Lu Mu Yen and Lu Mu Bai each spouted a mouthful of blood and took a few steps back. But the 12 men in black weren't much better. Blood stained them all red, but they looked at Lu Mu Yen with crazy and bloodshot eyes. The 11 people then used a secret skill to cast their last breath of life out from their bodies that then converged into the leading black-clothed man. The man suddenly burst into the air when no one was prepared, rushing straight towards Lu Mu Yen. Chapter 121, This Highness wants to see who dares kill her. At this time, Lu Mu Yen was extremely deficit in elemental energy. Due to the battle of skills, the remaining pressure of the giant sword still injured her internally, forcing her back a few steps. The leading, black-clothed man originally used the mysterious external energy to force his sword monarch cultivation base to initial phase sword sovereign, so now, although he was stabbed in the chest with his life in danger, he still gathered the 11 black-clothed men's life force. It was as if the last radiance of the sun, the last burst of energy, so his strength would naturally not be weak. Lu Mu Yen gritted her teeth and the mental energy in her sea of consciousness surged layer by layer, forming a spiral tornado-like shape which gradually emerged from her sea of consciousness. When the leading, black-clothed man was near Lu Mu Yen, he gathered all the remaining elemental energy into the long sword in his hand. The gray sword aura was like an abrupt gust of wind and rain, mixed with the sound of violent wind, and he shot it straight towards her forehead. Lu Mu Yan's eyes were stained with coldness and the light in her eyes were exceptionally sharp and pressuring. So what if there wasn't any elemental energy left in her body? She wasn't afraid. A Taoist seal quickly formed in her hand, and the helical tornado condensed from her mental energy in her sea of consciousness flew out from her body, quickly rotating, and instantly greeted the grand grey sword aura. Wherever the tornado went, there was also a jade-colored vermilion bird formed from a transparent rune. With a long cry, it spread its wings with the pride of a divine beast, then plunged into the misty grey sword aura. Silence. Everyone's gaze within the cave all gathered at the sword aura in mid-air and the rune vermilion bird that emerged from Lu Muyan's body. Although Lu Muyan's mental energy was suppressed by this interface, but it was still 2 or 3 phases above her current cultivation base. It was also hidden by her secret skill, so no one felt the tornado made from mental energy that was surrounding the vermilion bird. Whoosh whoosh. A few sounds of wind rang across the ears of the people in the silence. Then the vermilion bird that spread its wings and flew up high, raised its head and cried into the air again. It gradually became transparent with that pride until it disappeared. The grey sword aura instantly became very dim, but it still maintained an offensive stance. It was weakened, but it still continued to move forward with the power capable of killing a sword king. Destroy. A string of blood spilled from Lu Muyan's lips, and she spit out a word heavily. Then the spiral tornado formed by her mental energy turned into countless tentacles, grabbing the grey sword aura that rushed towards her. Everyone opened their eyes wide in amazement and shock, watching the grey sword aura appear as if it were being blocked by some sort of force, cracking in mid-air, without a sound, then disintegrating and disappearing. Pu. Lu Muyan spouted a few mouthfuls of blood consecutively, and her face instantly turned pale. Her condensed mental energy also disappeared in the sky together with the grey sword aura. But she could no longer bear the after effect of forcibly using her trump cards and was extremely weak. The leading, black-clothed man also suffered backlash and spewed out a few mouthfuls of blood, but his eyes were exceptionally bloodshot right now, as if a vengeful ghost crawling out from hell. Then he slapped his chest fiercely. All the power in his body gathered at his heart. He let out a crazed laugh, forcibly burned his life force, eventually turning it into a strong, shocking force that exploded within him. He took out a dagger and channeled all the energy into it. His eyes carried a sharp viciousness, and he flew straight towards Lu Muyan's heart, saying with a hoarse and cold voice, "I'll see how you dodge this time. This old man must complete this mission and kill you here today even if it costs me my own life." Lu Muyan clutched her chest and closed her eyes. When she opened her eyes, she looked coldly and indifferently at the dagger flying towards her with a violent force. She had tried her best, life or death was up to fate, so what was there to fear? Because the speed of the leader in black was too fast, the others such as Yizhan and Lan Si simply had no time to rescue her, so they could only watch the dagger approach her chest. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks, Yenner. Muyan. Several powerless, desperate, and hopeless roars sounded, heart-wrenching. Lu Muyan's exceptionally beautiful face bloomed with a gorgeous smile and her lips overflowed with an arc which actually made her look bewitching. It wasn't so easy to kill her. She moved her soul energy to her forehead and wrapped it with the remaining energy in her heart. As long as her soul wasn't destroyed, then she could still live. At most, she'd wait for a few decades until her bodice remade, but when that time came, she would surely stomp on the mastermind behind these men in black and refine them, making them unable to reincarnate forever. Roar! Suddenly a beast roar sounded, carrying a fearsome pressure. The tuft of flame-like fur at the center of the forehead of the small white beast on Lu Muyan's shoulder appeared as if alive. He leapt to the ground and his body rapidly enlarged by 2 sizes. Suddenly, a red light rushed out from between his brows and greeted the powerful dagger. Clank! The dagger made a crisp sound and was hit to the ground by the red light. There was disbelief in the man's eyes. He didn't expect that in order to hunt down Lu Mu Yen, who was only at sword spirit cultivation base, their entire army would be wiped out, and not only that, now she even evaded their killing skills again and again. Feeling the aura of death on him begin to spread throughout his body, and his breath gradually weakening, he made the last insane move. He used a secret skill to burn his flesh and blood, then finally his entire body turned into a ball of fire, circled the air twice and flew down towards Lu Mu Yen with purpose. He's going to self-destruct. A sword sovereign couldn't help explaining. Currently, most of the others were extremely shocked, not only shocked by Lu Mu Yan's combat power, but also shocked by these men in black who were full of different killing methods. Just who were these people? This kind of insane killing was like the doing of an organization of sacrificial assassins that were made to specifically hide in the darkness. They had never seen these secret skills of advancing one's cultivation base, and of burning their own flesh and blood. When did such a mysterious force emerge in the eastern region? Vigilance now grew in the sword sovereigns and the sword monarchs of the 10 distinguished clans. Seeing Lu Mu Yen and the spirit pet on her shoulders both listless, simply unable to meet the self-destructive energy of flesh and blood, several sword sovereigns felt powerless. They could only pity that it would be difficult to inquire about the whereabouts of the marrow cleansing pill. The leading, black-clothed man used killer moves each time he acted, and his speed was so fast that they simply couldn't help at all. Even if they had the ability, they didn't want to help an outsider and be left with severe injuries. Yi Zhan wanted to help, but a large part of his elemental energy was turned into a ball of light and merged into the blood spirit. Even his speed to block simply couldn't match the speed of that self-destructive power. Just when Lan Si was about to unveil the second seal using his mind, when Mo Yen was releasing all the demonic energy within his dantian, preparing to sacrifice 1/3 of his demonic spirit to utilize his innate talent, and when Lu Mu Yen was protecting her soul between her brows, prepared to meet the ball of fire. Suddenly, a dazzling golden sword aura whizzed down violently from the top of the mountain where a hole was previously blasted. The resonance of the sword resounded throughout the air, and the tip of the sword was bedazzling, as if the scorching sun was directly overhead. This highness wants to see who dares kill her. A cold and domineering voice reverberated in the mountains, with a powerful, imposing manner, shocking many people to squat and hug their heads in agony, blood surging inwardly. As the overbearing and fierce voice echoed, the golden light slashed straight towards the ball of fire. With just a touch, the fireball that was the black-clothed sword sovereign made from his flesh and blood in an attempt to self-destruct, was completely annihilated by the golden sword light falling from the sky. Lu Mu Yen immediately stopped the seal she was preparing to use to put her soul into a deep sleep, and looked up, with a pale face, at the man in red that was about to land from the sky. But a scene that no one expected occurred. Lu Mu Yen stood beside the lava pool listlessly with a bloodless complexion and had just taken out a porcelain bottle to pour the pills into her mouth. Suddenly, a figure flashed from the side and a palm of wind came from that figure, landing on Lu Mu Yan's shoulder heavily. At this time, she had exhausted all her elemental energy, had only retained a trace of the source of her mental energy in her sea of consciousness, and was injured internally, so there was simply no time to counterattack and defend herself. After being hit by the palm of wind, her body flew out uncontrollably. She was originally only 3 steps away from the lava pool, so this inexplicable assault pushed her straight into the boiling hot lava. Splash! Like the sound of falling into water, everyone saw the white, delicate figure directly fall into the lava pool that was still bubbling fire, and in only a glance, her body disappeared into the lava. Yenner! Lu Mu Bai let out a shrill and immediately rushed towards the lava to jump down but was held back tightly by Ling Fei Hao and Fu Qin. Yi Qing Han, Yun Lan and the others also couldn't believe it as they stared at the lava blankly. Lu Mu Yen was gone just like that? That couldn't be. That spirited and lovely woman couldn't be gone just like that. Woman! Ming Xiu dashed and landed above the lava pool, his eyes scarlet, carrying a strong ferocious and murderous aura, as if the reincarnation of Azura One. He glanced icily at Hu Fei, who had just made the sneak attack, and found that the opponent was trembling from his gaze in fear. A cruel smile rose on his lips. This was an expression of extreme anger. He raised his hand and gently waved his sleeves. A strong force hit Hu Fei. Boom! Hu Fei's body was immediately blasted into countless pieces, flesh and blood, by the force, horrible to look at. Ming Xiu grabbed with his right hand, and he forcibly pulled out a transparent light from the self-destructed body that had shattered. This was Hu Fei's soul. Then, he immediately sealed it inside a black bottle. This action was completed at the speed of thunder and lightning. After putting away the black bottle, he didn't hesitate at all and dived right into the lava pool. Is he crazy? One of the sword sovereigns couldn't help exclaiming. The lava carried a fearful, soul-stirring power that consumed. Unless one was a sword venerable powerhouse, otherwise if one was touched by the lava, they would undoubtedly die. In the hearts of countless people, they all believed that Lu Mu Yen had probably already turned into a pool of blood and melted into the lava. The mysterious strong man in red was seeking his own death. Lan Si stared at the disappearing figure of Ming Xiu thoughtfully, his heart exceptionally moved. This man had reached the point of dying with Lu Mu Yen in the name of love. Obviously not. Then it proved that Lu Mu Yen wasn't dead at all. Thinking of this, there was a glimmer of light and hope in his eyes. Yenner. Lu Mu Bei's expression was full of agony, and he wanted to break free from the shackles of Ling Fei Hao and Fu Qin to jump down into the lava and find his younger sister. He was emotional, and seeing that, Lan Si sighed. He flicked a blue light from his hand and inserted it into Lu Mu Bei's body. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. On alert, Lu Mu Bei's eyelids shut suddenly, and he fainted. Take him down to rest. He won't take up for 3 days. Lan Si ordered Fu Qin. Fu Qin nodded, looked at the lava with pity, then lifted Lu Mu Bei up and sat down in the corner of the cave to guard him. Elder brother, elder sister Mu Yen will be fine, right? Yi Qinglu couldn't believe what she'd just seen. She ran to Yi Qinghan and tugged his sleeve, asking in tears. Yi Qinghan sobered from his dazed state, as if having lost his soul. He shook his head with a bitter expression. She must be fine. His tone was heavy, not sure whether it was to comfort himself, or to comfort Yi Qinglu. The inexplicable pain in his heart that had never felt before attacked him wave by wave. He sat down on the spot and locked his eyes tightly on the lava pool, motionless. There was deep grief in Yunlan's eyes. He walked to the lava pool without saying a word and sat cross-legged, hoping that the sweet, smiling woman would suddenly jump out of it. Yunjin stared at the lava pool in disbelief. Lu Mu Yen was dead. Impossible. It was definitely impossible for that cunning woman to die like that. Qi Yi Xian clenched his hand above his heart. Bursts of heart-piercing pain spread all over his body. He looked at the lava pool in despair, but a hope rose in his heart. He also didn't believe that woman would disappear like this forever. Xiao Xiang's face was pale. He covered his mouth to prevent himself from making a sound. How did this happen? Mo Yan's indifferent eyes also displayed complexity and worry at the same time. But he and Lu Mu Yen were contracted, so he could feel that the other party was still alive despite being exceptionally weak. His hovering heart was slightly relieved, but he couldn't set it back down yet. He walked to the side of the lava pool and laid on his stomach, waiting while recovering. After Lu Mu Yen was knocked down the lava pool, she quickly fell towards the depths of the center of the lava. Her eyes were tightly closed, her long eyelashes left a shadow on her face, and her breath was weak as her consciousness automatically protected itself and entered into a state of deep sleep. The lava pool here contained the essence of the entire ice volcano. If humans or demonic beasts below Sword Venerable were to be touched with even just a slight bit of lava, they would melt instantly. Currently, Lu Mu Yan was surrounded by a layer of blue, fluorescent light circles, and every time the hot lava flow surging around her met the circle of light, it would avoid it as if its nemesis. While the origin of the blue, fluorescent light came from the ice bangle on Lu Mu Yan's right wrist. There were inexplicable waves from the depths of the lava, as if beckoning something, then Lu Mu Yan's body was sucked into the deepest part of the lava by a mysterious force. If someone was here, they would definitely cry out in alarm. After Lu Mu Yan fell into a whirlpool deep in the lava, she automatically separated from the lava and fell directly on a dark red rock mixed with pale gold. Perhaps no one would have imagined that the deep center of the lava pool, the essence of the ice volcano, would lead to a clearing. The clearing and the fiery lava were separated by a layer of black space, and they couldn't penetrate each other. After falling into the lava, Ming Xiu automatically established a shield and quickly swam down to find Lu Mu Yan. He felt the aura of the ice bangle that had unsealed. This meant that Lu Mu Yan wouldn't die. But he was still extremely anxious, burning with impatience. After living for 20 years, he felt the pain of heartache for the first time. While in the depths of the lava, he discovered that the aura of the ice bracelet and Lu Mu Yan suddenly disappeared. His heart jumped, then he closed his eyes and stretched out his left hand, pinching a complicated seal. After a long time, a faint, unsteady connection was transmitted to his heart, and he finally found the direction of the ice bangle's aura. Ming Xiu opened his eyes, took out the golden longsword, and slashed countless times at the depths of the lava. When he found that in the depths of the lava and turbulent space, a crack appeared, he immediately rushed up and flew in quickly. Chapter 123, Purple Gold Spirit Flame. In a quiet space, a woman in white laid silently on a rock with her eyes closed. She was enveloped by a flickering icy blue circle of light, and the scorching fire spiritual force around her was completely isolated outside. Drops of blood ran down her injured right arm, and it slowly merged into the ice bangle on her pretty wrist. With each drop that blended into the ice bangle, the blue light would flash once. Lu Mu Yan slept deeply, warm and peaceful, as if she were in the embrace of her mother. Gradually, her soul returned to its origin from the seal at the center of her brows, the ice bangle stopped absorbing her blood essence, and some blue gas entered her body through her meridians. Soon, the blue gas swam around along the meridians, then restored the areas that were internally injured in one cosmic orbit around her body. Finally, it sank into her dantian and slowly merged with the light green mist that wound around her dantian. After the light green mist absorbed the blue gas, its green color gradually grew darker, and it expanded infinitely around Lu Mu Yan's dantian, then finally merged into her dantian. Within the dantian, what was originally like a light green lake of mist, began to expand continuously and turned into a sea of green fog, mysterious and distant. And it wasn't only Lu Mu Yan that had changed. Her spirit pet bangle suddenly opened automatically, and a white, fluorescent Jiao egg popped out spontaneously, landing directly next to a cluster of purple gold flames not far from her. As if leaping for joy, the white Jiao egg circled around the purple gold flame, then landed quietly, and strands of purple gold flames climbed onto the eggshell, as if helping it hatch. Not long after, Lu Mu Yan's long and dense eyelashes moved, and she opened her eyes. She looked around in confusion at first, then finally sat up. Seeing that there was an extra layer of blue light wrapped around her body, she touched the ice bangle on her wrist. Feeling the obvious gentle intention that the ice bangle exuded, she realized that the connection between them had deepened a lot, and she even felt the ice bangle's closeness and fondness of her. Who knew that the injury this time would accidentally make the ice bangle recognize its master? Lu Mu Yan caressed the ice bangle, conveying her own fondness for it in return, and mumbled to herself. Except her cultivation base was too low, and right now, she simply couldn't get a glimpse into the ice bangle's secrets. There seemed to be a voice in her sea of consciousness that told her that she could only unlock the ice bangle when she reached Sword Monarch cultivation base. Lu Muyan's bright eyes were like stars, and she felt a little expectant in her heart. She had more than enough patience to wait. She looked down at the ice bangle. I won't let you sit in dust. You will be my, Lu Muyan's, partner from now on. The ice bangle's glistening light, as if understanding her inner thoughts, brightened a bit, setting off her bright wrists even more white. After communicating their intentions to each other, Lu Muyan's mood was also a lot cheerier. She turned her head and scrutinized the environment she was in carefully. This space was small, composed of countless dark red rocks mixed with light gold. Each rock carried a scorching hot fire source as if it could melt a person. If it weren't for the protection of the ice bangle, she was afraid that it would have been difficult for her to survive here, let alone be able to move around here freely. Then, Lu Muyan shifted her gaze to a dazzling place not far from her. There was a cluster of purple gold flames that kept leaping about, carrying with it a fearful, soul-stirring pressure. Beside it, there was a bright and clean white egg surrounded by strands of sparks overflowing from the flames. The purple gold spirit flame. The very inborn mutant flame that was only born in the spirit world every tens of thousands of years was actually born here. It truly was a marvel. Lu Muyan didn't get close. She and the white Jiao egg was already contracted, so she knew that it was currently using the energy of the spirit flame to incubate itself. She wasn't worried, and instead, felt as if she had a child that was finally growing up. With bright eyes, she scanned the spars scattered around the purple gold spirit flame. In dark, purple gold shells, the purple gold solidified liquid was clearly visible inside. Then she smiled brightly. This time, she was going to make a fortune. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks the spars scattered here, and there was the heavenly frost golden essence, the quintessence of the condensation of numerous heavenly frost golden crystals. In the spirit world, these were spiritual items that could even cause great ascension stage cultivators to desire it and compete for it. She didn't immediately put away the heavenly frost golden essence, but instead, sat cross-legged on a rock to recover. The internal injuries were already healed by the ice bangle, but her spiritual energy was still empty. She took out a bottle of spiritual energy replenishing pills and poured it into her mouth to refine. The spiritual energy quickly penetrated into her dantian through the pills, passed through that sea of green fog, circled around in a cosmic orbit, then finally spread to the meridians all over her body. Traces of the spiritual force of heaven and earth condensed from all around her, forming a spiritual force tempest, swarming into her body. Lu Muyan absorbed the rich, dense fire element spiritual force in this space to her heart's content, making her suddenly become vaguely aware of an indescribable profound concept of the fire elemental energy law. Every time she absorbed the spiritual force to transform into spiritual energy, it would all be filtered through that sea of green fog, and the spiritual energy that spread throughout her body was purer by more than double compared to before. She closed her eyes, comprehending the fire elemental energy law while absorbing the spiritual force frantically. A day later, when she opened her eyes again, the colors in her eyes became deeper, as if an enigmatic deep pool that contained everything. Crack! At this moment, the white eggshell made a cracking sound, and the strands of purple gold flames instantly integrated into the eggshell. After a while, a small, white snake with the thickness of a little finger poked itself out of the eggshell. As soon as it opened its eyes, it ate all the eggshell with excitement bit by bit, and its body grew from more than 1 inch to 5 or 6 inches. After swallowing the eggshell, it suddenly swept its tail, then spun itself upwards, landing directly on Lu Muyan's wrist, touching her palm affectionately with its head. Lu Muyan had never contracted a snake spirit pet before. She lowered her head to see that the pure white body of the little snake was as crystal clear as jade, and there was a lightning-like golden mark in the center of its brows, unusually mysterious. With a soft smile on her lips, she gently stroked the little snake's head with her fingers. After thinking a bit, she formed a Taoist seal and pressed it onto the little snake's brow area. A transparent, jade-colored rune penetrated into the little snake's forehead, and the lightning-like golden mark at the center of its brows instantly disappeared, hidden, as if it had never appeared before. It'll temporarily seal the mark between your brows. When we're not afraid of all the powerhouses on this continent, is when you'll unlock the seal. Lu Mu Yen raised her wrist and looked at the little snake gently. The little snake entered into a contract with Lu Mu Yen before its eggshell was even formed, so at this moment, it completely treated her as its mother. Naturally, it wouldn't object to her doing so. It still affectionately rubbed her palm with its small head, expressing its joy. Lu Mu Yan's heart was also softened by this affectionate act. She rubbed its little head with her thumb and was fond of this little thing from the bottom of her heart. Jean Miao, that will be your name from now on. Lu Mu Yen gently caressed its head. How about I call you Miao Miao from now on? This name was also what the pure Frost Jiao One told her telepathically before it disappeared. She would naturally obey the last wish of a great mother. The little white snake rubbed her palm and conveyed that it liked the name very much through its sea of consciousness. Then it also stretched its head in the direction of the purple gold spirit flame, calling to Lu Mu Yen, hiss, hiss. Lu Mu Yen flicked Ji Miao's forehead dotingly and said, clever little child. This little thing wanted her to quickly collect the purple gold spirit flame. As expected from a spirit pet that she contracted in harmony with her soul, it knew her heart's desire. I am once again taking the liberty of changing the translation of a name that I translated myself lol. Mainly because I translated the Qi in Qi Han Jiao as Scarlet. Therefore it became Scarlet Frost Jiao. But based on various clues, I can say that the being is in no way the color scarlet, and I don't think scarlet has anything to do with this being. Actually has another translation, bare/naked. I guess it could also mean completely, e.g. completely frost, etc. Pure has some of that connotation and sounds better to me, huh? This is all probably really irrelevant to everything, but just an FYI. Chapter 124, Collect the Spirit Flame, Breakthrough Sword King. Lu Mu Yen walked to the purple gold spirit flame's side and saw that the flame that was constantly jumping around suddenly grew in one size. She curled her lips and smiled. The purple gold spirit flame was indeed full of cleverness. Fortunately, it had just evolved and was just born, so it had yet to bear wisdom, otherwise it wouldn't be easy to subdue it today. The purple gold spirit flame was a spiritual item born from heaven and earth. It had its own pride and spontaneously rejected being subdued by others. Therefore, its flame instinctively jumped and expanded in reaction to Lu Mu Yan's approach, and a heat source generated from its core formed an oppressive cyclone that was released towards her. With a thought from Lu Mu Yen, a bright blue light burst from the ice bangle to block the violent flame cyclone outside. She sat cross-legged next to the purple gold spirit flame, and her dantian began to spin, withstanding the rioting of the flames, as her hands danced lightly in the air. Her slender hands flipped, and she snapped her fingers, then white balls of spiritual energy jumped out from her fingertips one by one, as if snowflakes fluttering down, instantly falling onto every wisp of the purple gold spirit flame. She was once a high-level alchemist in the spirit world in her previous life, so she naturally had conquered a spirit flame for her own use. Except, compared to the purple gold spirit flame, it was still inferior. She once accepted the inheritance of a heavenly grade alchemist in a secret realm, so in addition to inheriting ways of refining pills and pill recipes, she also received a method that specialized in subduing and refining spirit flames, decreasing the feelings of repulsion. The focus of this method was on agreement rather than subduing through suppression. This meant that after using the method, the entire person would exude an attraction that could be felt by the spirit flame, reducing the feeling of repulsion. Finally, she would transform the spiritual force into nutrients to nourish the spirit flame. When the mental energy was connected, she would immediately absorb and refine it. She must also regard the spirit flame as part of her life, and not a plaything to order around. Subduing the spirit flame and refining it originally had to be used in conjunction with a kind of pill to reduce rejection and harm to her internal organs. After all, it was extremely dangerous to absorb this sort of spiritual item into her body. Without the spirit pill that could suppress it, the chance of success in refining it was very small. If one was careless, they'd receive backlash from the spirit flame, becoming ashes and smoke. She still lacked a few main spirit herbs on her to be able to refine that sort of spirit pill, so if she forcefully absorbed and refined it, then there was a high probability that she'd receive backlash. However, the ice bangle had already recognized her as its master, and although she couldn't unlock it and use it, but she could still borrow the power contained in it. She knew that the mysterious power in the ice bangle could perfectly suppress the spirit flame, that's why she was determined to give it a try. When the purple gold flame was covered by the white balls of light, Lu Mu Yen chanted an obscure hex, her eyes flashed sharply, and she whispered, "Collect." The purple gold flame was suddenly uprooted by the white ball of light, then with a shoo, it flew straight into Lu Mu Yan's dantian. Gasp! Scorching pain suddenly came from her dantian which made her gasp uncontrollably. She took a deep breath and immediately mobilized the green sea of fog in her dantian to envelop the ball of purple gold flame. The ice bangle that was in harmony with her soul made a hum sound and strands of blue gas overflowed from the bangle, entering into her dantian. Lu Mu Yen endured the heart-wrenching pain and mobilized the method in her body. Waves of coolness came from her dantian, but she still couldn't get rid of the pain. It was as if she was thrown into a stove and roasted. Her face was flushed, a layer of red appeared on her white skin, and her body was frighteningly hot. There was a rush of burning pain in her heart. She bit her lower lip tightly with her teeth to prevent herself from making a sound. Fine sweat filled her forehead, and her white clothes were quickly drenched by her sweat as a few strands of hair stuck to her pale face. She slightly trembled all over, closed her eyes and used all her willpower to support herself not to faint. Her cultivation base was too low. If she didn't forcibly support herself and use the method, as well as the ice bangle's power to relieve the firepower in her body, she was afraid that her internal organs would have been burned to ashes. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks, she forced herself into a state of emptiness and calmness, enduring the pain and laboriously mobilized the spiritual energy that carried green fog in her body. If it were another person, they'd probably have been tortured by the piercing pain and gave up long ago. But she worked hard to withstand it tenaciously, not letting herself give up at all. Her temperament was as such, stubborn and unyielding, and upon meeting the strong, she would become even stronger. After half a day, the moment Ming Xiu, who broke through from the layer of space, landed on the rock, he saw the woman in white sitting not far away. Her exceptionally beautiful little face was currently pale with an abnormal blush, her clothes were drenched with sweat, revealing her exquisite jade-like body, her lower lip was bitten open as a few drops of blood fell, and she appeared slightly bewitching. Her brows were furrowed together, and the pained expression was one that Ming Xiu had never seen before, but it also contained a kind of firmness and tenacity which made her whole person glow with the charm of striving to become stronger, uninhibited, and domineering. So what if the purple gold spirit flame was precious, rare, and powerful? It'll still want to subdue you and refine you. This was Lu Mu Yen. The face under Ming Xiu's mask grew solemn. Seeing Lu Mu Yen in such a state and feeling the fluctuations of this space, he naturally guessed what had happened earlier. This little woman was simply too bold and reckless, she dared to take the risk of subduing a spirit flame with the cultivation base of a sword spirit. Although it seemed that she wasn't far from success, but his heart still ached seeing her suffering. Ming Xiu took off his mask, revealing that unparalleled, beautiful, devilishly charming face. Ming Xiu's long and thin phoenix eyes narrowed, and his thin lips pressed together tightly. Then he sat cross-legged behind Lu Mu Yen, formed a few Taoist seals in front of his chest and placed his two palms on her back. A trace of wood attribute elemental energy flowed from his palms and fused into her body, as well as fusing into her heart, little by little. From the moment someone entered this space, Lu Mu Yan had discovered it, but when she felt that the aura was Ming Xiu, she let go of much of the vigilance that she had raised. The trace of wood attribute elemental energy that entered her body suddenly cleared her slightly groggy consciousness. The purple gold spirit flame that had shrunk several times in her dantian was also suppressed by an external force. With a start, she took the opportunity to mobilize the green sea of fog to envelop the small wisp of purple gold flame in her dantian, quickly refining it. Borrowing Ming Xiu's power, she saved a lot of time, and the pain was also suppressed a lot. With a clear mind, she utilized the method to permeate into the spirit flame and showed it kindness. Her spiritual sense slowly merged into the spirit flame, and the green sea of fog surged ceaselessly, as if layers of breaking waves. A day later, the last of the purple gold flame in Lu Mu Yan's dantian vanished, and the flush on her face and body eventually disappeared. After another day, there was a very faint purple gold light that appeared in the green sea of fog in her dantian. And Lu Mu Yan, who had her eyes closed and was meditating, didn't immediately withdraw from the state of refining. She successfully refined the purple gold spirit flame, but also because of the power of the spirit flame and the crazy absorption of spiritual force from before, the bottleneck that she was stuck at for her cultivation was broken through. When she reached peak phase sword spirit, she still decided to grit her teeth and use the last wave of fire elemental energy to strike and break through the final bottleneck. Such an opportunity was very rare, and she would suffer a loss if she didn't use this opportunity to advance to Sword King. 3 days later, when the fire elemental energy spiritual force in this space was completely absorbed and exhausted by her, the spiritual force body tempering was also completed. A 7-colored light enveloped Lu Mu Yan and the pressure of a Sword King streamed out unconsciously like a torrent. When the 7-colored light disappeared, she opened her eyes and as soon as she raised them, she met the pair of clear and deep obsidian-like black eyes that carried a devilishly captivating charm as if it could suck one into them. Chapter 125, Seeing you in pain, I will also be in pain. Lu Mu Yan was startled. She found that Ming Xiu's narrow and long phoenix eyes were filled with an inexplicable anger. You followed me down here. Aside from this reason, she couldn't think of other reasons for why Ming Xiu would go deep into the lava pool. Ming Xiu walked up to Lu Mu Yan and stretched out his hand to gently stroke her chin that still had some dried-up blood. Seeing her in a daze, he chuckled gently, naturally. As soon as Lu Mu Yan lowered her head, she saw Ming Xiu's distinctively bony, white, and slender hand stopped by the side of her lips. The force on his hand was very light, and his fingertips carried a thin layer of calluses left from practicing swords, but they weren't rough. It stroked past her lower lip, and her heart felt as if it was being tickled by a feather, tingling and numb. Just why are you so bold? Ming Xiu's hands continued to rest on Lu Mu Yan's soft, tender face, and sighed slightly. Lu Mu Yan was dumbfounded. What? Why she was so bold? What did that mean? You actually dare to absorb and refine the purple gold spirit fire without anyone else with you. Do you dislike having a long life? Ming Xiu raised an eyebrow and the strength in his hands increased a little. Lu Mu Yan furrowed her brows. She was still a little uncomfortable with such intimate actions, so she turned her head away from the hands that were making mischief and said leisurely, "Thank you very much for your help, but I also did it because I had confidence." Ming Xiu used his wood attribute elemental energy to help relieve her of the scorching pain and helped her suppress the purple gold spirit fire, which indeed reduced the time required for her to refine it, as well as reducing the pain, but even without him, she'd just need to spend some more time and she'd still be able to succeed. I know, but seeing you in such pain, I will also be in pain. Ming Xiu's boundless, deep eyes carried some emotions, as if a spring breeze trying to enter into the depths of the woman's heart opposite. Lu Mu Yan didn't expect that Ming Xiu, this devilish man, could say such cheesy words. Her face was unconsciously dyed with a layer of light pink, and there was an indescribable feeling in her heart, like sweetness, but she was also at a loss. How did you come down here? What about the ice one that fought with you? Ming Xiu didn't want to scare the little woman back either, so it was better to take their relationship slowly. He had already woven a big net, and at the same time as placing himself in the net, had also pulled the woman he loved into it. After I dealt with that bird, I felt your aura gradually weaken. When I rushed over, I was still too careless and let you be shot down into the lava pool by a sneak attack. I was afraid something would happen to you, so I followed. Ming Xiu indeed blamed himself inwardly. He destroyed the self-destructing blood and flesh fireball, but he didn't prevent that small side character who suddenly appeared. In the end, he was slow by half a beat and let Lu Mu Yan be injured. Speaking of Hu Fei, Lu Mu Yan's eyes grew cold. At the time, it wasn't that she didn't detect Hu Fei's killing intent, but her spiritual energy was completely exhausted, and she wasn't able to respond to the sneak attack. Who would have thought that Hu Fei would risk his life to kill me? He was very close to me at the time, and his sneak attack was too fast, so it's normal for you to not have been able to stop it. She didn't blame Ming Xiu, and instead, thanked him in her heart. If it weren't for his golden sword aura annihilating the attack of that black-clothed man, she might have already used Soul Seal. By the way, did you deal with Hu Fei when you came down? Based on her understanding of Ming Xiu, this man shouldn't have let Hu Fei go so easily. Ming Xiu took out a black porcelain bottle from his interspatial ring and handed it to Lu Mu Yan. I shattered his body and threw his soul into this soul confinement bottle. He had absolutely no worry that Lu Mu Yan would feel that his actions were cruel. He believed she understood him. Sure enough, Lu Mu Yan took the bottle without a change in expression, opened it and used her mental energy to probe into it. She found that Hu Fei's soul was currently very weak and was on the verge of collapse. He was probably deliberately tortured by Ming Xiu's methods. She withdrew her mental energy and smiled. Can you temporarily keep it so that his soul won't be destroyed? I suspect that he's related to the group of people in black who tried to assassinate me. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks, leave it to me. Ming Xiu thought the same way, so after torturing Hu Fei's soul, he didn't destroy it directly. All right. Lu Mu Yan nodded with a smile. She believed that with this man's methods, Hu Fei would spit out the clues he knew very soon. When she found the culprits behind them, and when the time was right, she'd definitely personally arrive at their door and properly calculate their total debt. After that, Lu Mu Yan cast her gaze on the scattered heavenly frost golden essence where the purple gold spirit flame was before. She raised an eyebrow and said to Ming Xiu, "How about half-half?" "Sure." Ming Xiu glanced at the heavenly frost golden essence and didn't conceal the fiery desire in his eyes. His temperament was so that he didn't like to be quarrelsome. This thing was of great use to him. Lu Mu Yan grabbed in that direction, then the heavenly frost golden essence was divided into precisely 2 portions in front of her and Ming Xiu. The two put away their portions, then Ming Xiu took out the 3 pieces of heavenly frost golden crystals he successfully snatched earlier. Take these. You sure are generous. Lu Mu Yan knew that the heavenly frost golden crystal wouldn't be of much use to Ming Xiu now that he had the heavenly frost golden essence. So she wasn't polite and accepted it. With these heavenly frost golden crystals, she was now able to arm her close ones in the Lu clan from head to toe. A clear and sexy voice spilled from Ming Xiu's lips as an eyebrow was slightly raised, and he was stained with a devilish, amorous charm. Didn't you tamper with the heavenly frost golden crystal early on? Lu Mu Yan glared at him, and raised an eyebrow, saying, How could my little array fool you? Yes, when the heavenly frost golden crystal was born, and when she froze the heavenly frost golden crystal, she added an array of spiritual energy condensation. If they didn't have her to crack it, even if others snatched it, they wouldn't be able to use it. Of course, she was certain that her array could be solved by Ming Xiu. This was just an instinctive feeling, and her intuition had always been very accurate. Ming Xiao carried a mysterious and noble temperament. She had seen people with this temperament back in the spirit world, on the people of the grand immortal cultivators clan, or on the proud children favored by the heavens. This man had an extraordinary background, and the force or story behind him might not just be a mere Ming Chamber of Commerce alliance. But Lu Mu Yen didn't intend to ask more. The more mysterious he was, the more challenging he was, wasn't it? This man, for her, could disregard danger and dive deep into the bottom of the lava pool, at the same time as making her heart tremble. There was also a recognition. Your knowledge in arrays is very deep. Although I can crack it, but I also need to use some means to do it. There was admiration in Ming Xiao's eyes. The little woman's attainments in arrays were even stronger than the enshrined array master in the 9 layers hall. Given time, when her cultivation base reached a certain level, she definitely would blossom in radiant splendor on Tianling continent. He would take her beneath his wings, but he wouldn't hinder her from flying freely. His woman didn't need to hide behind him. He knew that she wanted to stand with him shoulder to shoulder. His, Ming Xiao's, woman, would naturally be the best. The stronger she was, the more he liked her. Lu Mu Yen smiled lightly and indifferently. Her mastery in arrays was stronger than her talent for alchemy. After she forms her nascent soul, she could then perform some of the other arrays and restrictions. By then, one would probably not be able to find any who could crack them on Tianling continent. Let's go out first. After staying in here for so long, I'm afraid that eldest brother and the others would be anxious. All right. Ming Xiao took a step towards Lu Mu Yen and held her in his arm. A layer of light blue water elemental energy shield enveloped the two of them. He tapped his foot and the two disappeared in this space. Chapter 126, The Ice Master that was cruelly toyed with in the cave where the Heavenly Frost Golden Crystal was born. Since Lu Mu Yen fell into the lava pool and Ming Xiao followed down, some things also happened. After the two disappeared, the two Heavenly Frost Golden Crystals in Yizhan and Lan Sis hands were being desired by the Sword Sovereign powerhouses. Towards Yizhan, many people were fearful. After all, although he was middle phase Sword Sovereign strength, but he had the strength of an advanced phase Sword Sovereign, his skills were unpredictable, and he had a transformation stage demon cultivator spirit pet, so there was no one who placed their ideas on him for the time being. Several Sword Sovereign's eyes were all cast on Lan Si. One should squeeze the soft persimmons. Everyone understood this principle. Teacher Lan, with just your cultivation base, do you think you deserve a piece of Heavenly Frost Golden Crystal? Hand it over now and well spare your life. Xan Bo Jian looked at Lan Si sinisterly, wanting to place all the debt from before on him. The eyes of the other Sword Sovereigns that were cast on Lan Si were all fierce. They couldn't touch Yizhan, but could they not even touch a mere sword monarch? So what if he was backed by Yanzhou Kingdom? They weren't afraid at all. Lan Si's handsome and elegant face wore a small smile, but there wasn't much warmth in his eyes. Yizhan, how about we make a deal? Lan Si didn't want to reveal his identity just yet, otherwise these Sword Sovereigns were just seeking death, so he telepathically asked Yizhan. Yizhan played with the flute in his hand and his eyes were indifferent. Speak. I'll give you this Heavenly Frost Golden Crystal right now, then I'll go find you to retrieve it after we exit the glacial mountain range. I'll give you a spiritual energy nourishing herb in exchange. Lan Si knew that Yizhan's demon pet needed a spiritual energy nourishing herb to have hope of breaking through to Tier 8. He had certainty that this man wouldn't refuse his request, and the value of the spiritual energy nourishing herb wasn't lower than that of the Heavenly Frost Golden Crystal. If it weren't for his own urgent need for the Heavenly Frost Golden Crystal, he wouldn't take it out to trade either. Of course, he wouldn't owe Yizhan a personal favorite with such a transaction either. Sure enough, hearing the word spiritual energy nourishing herb, there were some fluctuations in Yizhan's eyes. He said telepathically, without any hesitation, deal. Earlier, Lan Si suddenly broke out a strength no weaker than a sword sovereign, and Yi Zhan could feel that the other party had sealed some sort of power. If this person tore apart any pretenses and was left without any scruples, he dared believe that even he probably wouldn't be his opponent. Plus, he desperately needed the spiritual power nourishing herb, so with such a trade, he profited. Want my heavenly frost golden crystal? Sure. Lan Si took out the heavenly frost golden crystal and placed it in his hand, then scanned those with burning desire in their eyes, ready to make a move. Then he chuckled, but I admire Senior Yi more, so this piece of heavenly frost golden crystal, I'll gift it to him. After speaking, Lan Si didn't wait for others to snatch it from him and threw the heavenly frost golden crystal directly to Yi Zhan while he stepped to the side and stood with the students participating in the trial of Yanzhou Kingdom, watching the show. Others didn't expect Lan Si to make such a move, and while they resented him inwardly, they also stared at Yi Zhan. Yi Zhan wasn't polite either. After catching the heavenly frost golden crystal, he put it away, looking at the people with a smile that encompassed everything and said to them, "If you want the heavenly frost golden crystal, then you can obtain it once you win me." There was a smile in his voice, but it made people feel a chill for no reason. The Shui clan's sword sovereign snorted coldly and incited, "Let's go together. I don't believe that with so many of us, we can't beat him." All right. The other sword sovereigns considered it for a moment, then gritted their teeth and agreed. Even if they failed to snatch it, Yi Zhan wouldn't kill them. Meanwhile, the two demon cultivators took the opportunity to dart out the cave. Whether the Ice Master was dead or alive was unknown, their two other companions were killed, and although they did want the heavenly frost golden crystal, but their life was even more important. Right now, those human cultivators had no time to bother with them in order to compete for the heavenly frost golden crystal. If they finished competing for it, they might just plan to take their demonic beast crystal cores, so it was better to leave early. After that, Yi Zhan didn't even release his spirit pet of the transformation stage, and only used 3 moves to shock the sword sovereigns into retreat. Before absolute power, all conspiracies and schemes were in vain. Having been uselessly optimistic, the sword sovereigns of the other clans hated Yi Zhan's dominance, but they couldn't do anything about him. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks, the Yi clan was the second largest distinguished clan and was also a clan of spirit beast tamers. If they offended them, they'd be in absolute trouble. They could only leave here with their clan's pupils. As for Lu Mu Yen and Ming Xiu, in their eyes, they were already 2 dead people. Once stained with that scorching hot lava, those beneath Sword Venerable would definitely die. After the others left, Yi Zhan also forcibly took Yi Qinghan and Yi Qinglu away. He guessed that Lu Mu Yen wasn't dead after seeing the attitude of the spirit pet Lu Mu Yen contracted, and Lan Si. Lan Si also guessed that Lu Mu Yen wasn't dead. In order to prevent others from having suspicions of him, they lingered for a day before he forced the Empire Academy's trial students to leave the cave, also with a heavy heart. In the end, only a small, white beast the size of a palm remained beside the edge of the lava pool, resting, waiting for his owner to return. 2 days later, Lu Mu Bai woke up and was already on the way to the Imperial capital. He was furious and wanted to go back to the glacial mountain range to find his younger sister. But the elemental energy in his body was emptied from summoning the blood spirit, and he received backlash, so he was made unconscious again by Lan Si and tossed back to the Lu clan. When Ming Xiu brought Lu Mu Yen out from the bottom of the lava pool, they saw that the entire cave was empty. Mo Yen, where's my eldest brother? As soon as Lu Mu Yen got out from Ming Xiu's embrace, the little white beast on the ground jumped onto her shoulder. Mo Yan's eyes were emotionless, but he let out a sigh of relief in his heart, then said slowly, "He was knocked unconscious and taken away by that teacher Lan of yours. The Yi clan's brother and sister, the Ling clan's brother and sister, your eldest brother, your elder cousin brother and the rest were all taken away forcibly." Seeing Lu Mu Yan's puzzled eyes, though Mo Yen seldom explained, but he added, Lan Si telepathically told me that it was safer for you to return to the Lu clan by yourself after you come out. Yi Zhan also telepathically told me that their Yi clan welcomes you to come soon. Lu Mu Yen also figured out the purpose of their departure. Lan Si and the others were probably still afraid that those black-clothed people would return again to kill her. With even her eldest brother being taken away, it was to send a message to those people that she died in the lava. And if she wasn't dead, then Ming Xiu must be alive too, and with Ming Xiu's presence, she'd be safe. I'll send you back to the general's mansion of Yanzhou Kingdom. Ming Xiu clearly worried about Lu Mu Yan returning alone. Lu Mu Yan's eyes gleamed like the reflection of waves in the sunlight, and chuckled gracefully, "You're that free? I'm very busy, but am willing to waste this time for you." Ming Xiu's lips curled into a devilishly charming smile. "Up to you." Lu Mu Yan lifted her chin slightly with a little tsundere appearance, and seeing that made Ming Xiu have the urge to pull her over and kiss her immediately. He calmed his mind slowly, then tossed a big cyan blue bird that was more than 3 meters long from his spirit pet bangle onto the floor. The big cyan blue bird originally had gorgeous feathers, but they were now unbearably messy. The crown on the top of its head was slanted, the longest, most beautiful tail feathers had obviously been plucked, and there was a golden collar around its beak. His eyes were watery and misty, and they seemed as pitiful as it got. Lu Mu Yan looked at the ice master that had been cruelly toyed with, and the corner of her lips couldn't help but twitch. Didn't he say he'd take Ming Xiu back to be the mistress of his fort? One commonly said by bandits, at least bandits in books or shows, when they see a beauty. In this case, the ice master never said it like that, but Lu Mu Yan basically linked his actions to a sleazy bandit lol. Random note 1, woohoo. School holidays. Anyways, I'll use this week to stock up on some translated chapters and then most likely start updating 2 chapters a day starting next Monday. Alrightio, back to translating. Random note 2, also, based on its Cyberpanditing's wheat suggestion, I considered it and thought to make a Discord server just to see how it goes. I think Discord is the most suitable after some thought. Hey, raise the link if anyone's interested, https://discord. GG/TRNZDRDRNH. I hope that link works. Seeing as it's new to me, I haven't thought about the details, but I guess MEIWITA will be the focus, and when I release other translations, we'll talk about those too, etc. I guess just translation-related stuff. We can even complain about common tropes if we wish, and other novel stuff maybe. Recommendations are fine, but preferably similar types to MyWita. Mainly because there are already FB groups and Reddit groups out there that I've found and joined with recommendation functions you can use that are quite handy, so maybe recommendations will remain similar feel story to MyWita, or with similar but not often seen tros. Questions are welcome OFC. For people with common interests. Anyways, I'll see how that all goes first. Thanks for reading. Lu Mu Yan blinked and looked at the ice one that was too tragic to look at. Wasn't he abused a bit too miserably by Ming Xiu? This Tier 8 demon cultivator ice master was taken care of by you just like that. Ming Xiu glanced at the big bird coldly, and the ice one couldn't help but shudder. Then he said, "Who told him to have a cheap mouth? To think he dared to have ideas about him." It was already kind that he didn't cut off the possibility for this stinky bird to have children and grandchildren. The ice master shrank his neck. The eyes of that beautiful human man were too sharp. Could he say that he didn't dare to have any inordinate thoughts about him anymore? Pfft. Lu Mu Yan couldn't help laughing as she watched the ice one's miserable appearance and that pair of innocent-looking eyes. The Icewan found himself being ridiculed by a weak human woman and couldn't help but glare at her fiercely. His mouth was bound by a golden ring so he couldn't speak, but he cursed her in his heart. "Woman, what are you laughing at? Lousy one lost because of carelessness." Except where did the Icewan, at this time, still have any of the appearance as a descendant of divine beasts? The look in his fierce eyes paired with the messy feathers were as funny as it got. Lu Mu Yen wasn't frightened by the Ice Master's eyes at all, and instead, burst into laughter. Ming Xiu watched the little woman smile like a flower, and a gentle smile couldn't help but also rise on his face. He raised an eyebrow and looked at the ice one on the ground, having an idea. This ice one was gay, and Lu Mu Yen just happened to lack a flying mount. It was perfect that the ice one wouldn't have any ideas about the little woman, so a contract was plausible. Woman, how about I gift him to you as a flying mount? Ming Xiu approached Lu Mu Yen, and her faint fragrance of medicine wafted around his nose, refreshing. Lu Mu Yen was stunned for a moment. Seeing Ming Xiu point to the ice one on the ground and determine where he belonged just like that, she couldn't help but light a candle for the ice master who could once do as he pleased in this glacial mountain range, wanting wind, and wind will come, wanting rain, and rain would arrive too. The ice one's eyes widened. What? This damned man wanted him to be the flying mount of this weak woman. Just let him die once first. Lu Mu Yen walked to the ice one's side and tugged the self-made crown on his head, with a hit of disgust in her eyes. I do lack a flying mount, but isn't this ice one too ugly? The ice one choked on anger. This woman was as annoying as that perverted beautiful man. He, the ice master, was just that handsome and unparalleled, was refined and carried himself with a natural poise, so how could he be linked with ugliness? Could you have some standards when appreciating, please? Ming Xiu nodded in agreement. Indeed a bit ugly, but there's no other suitable one. Just may do for now, and when we catch a better flying demonic beast, we'll swap. Pay 4. The ice master almost spit out a mouthful of blood. Where was he ugly? And he was an authentic descendant of divine beasts. Where could they go to find a better flying demonic beast? These two people actually spoke about the issue of contracting with such disgust. He truly wanted to cry, but there were no tears. Could you ask his opinion first? Oh well, it's fine to be ugly, but just look at his gaze. It sure doesn't look like he's willing to make a contract with me. Lu Mu Yen raised an eyebrow as she looked at the ice one on the ground, which had absolutely no proper appearance to speak of, thinking it funny. Ming Xiu's eyes sharpened, and the cold knife in his eyes was thrown directly at the ice one, then be threatened telepathically into his sea of consciousness. It's your blessing to be my woman's flying mount. Think about what to do yourself. If you don't agree, I won't force it either. The ice master felt despair when he heard the first half of his words, but when he heard the last part, his eyes instantly lit up. So this beautiful man wasn't actuality that bad. But who knew that Ming Xiu's next sentence would completely shatter all his illusions? Of course, you can be a eunuch bird from now on. The ice one's lower half couldn't help but tighten. He only just wanted to tease this man a little because he looked rather handsome, but who knew he'd be deeply trapped in this sort of prison. It truly was a beauty messes up a bird. Pay! It's a beauty messes up a divine beast. As if he wanted to be a eunuch bird. This perverted man felt as if he had the bloodline of a true dragon in him. Words said in such a domineering style usually meant he wouldn't change his mind. If he didn't form a contract with this woman, he probably really wouldn't be able to give birth to offspring anymore. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. His eyes rolled around, thinking, then he looked up at the little white beast on Lu Mu Yan's shoulder. Who knew that with just a simple glimpse, the pressure of the aura of a royal species would assault him, and a cold voice echoed in his sea of consciousness. Little ice bird, do you believe that this king would dig your eyes out? A gay demonic beast was also an eyesore to him. There was a sting of pain in the ice one's sea of consciousness, and after regaining his calm, he secretly took a look at Mo Yen in fear. What kind of fire cloud mink was this demonic beast? He was obviously a spirit devourer of a royal species. According to his inherited memories, although the spirit devourer wasn't a divine beast, but they were a part of those that had it easiest in becoming a true spirit demonic beast. Out of the many demonic beast species, it was also an existence many demonic beasts looked up to. He sure didn't expect to see a royal species demonic beast with a purer bloodline than even him. The most important thing was that this being who addressed himself as this king, and although was weak in strength, but his pressure made him scared, actually recognized that woman as his master. It truly was unbelievable for him. Why did you become that woman's spirit pet? The Ice Master couldn't resist asking telepathically for his own future prospects. Didn't they say that spirit devourers were even more prideful than a true dragon and phoenix? Why did he contract a weak human then? He simply couldn't figure it out. Mo Yen was originally too lazy to answer the Icewan's question, but remembering that Lu Mu Yen should indeed have a flying mount, and although this Icewan was just the Saiyan Wan and Fire Phoenix's descendant, but its bloodline was still rather authentic, so he was barely qualified to contract the same master as him. She's still weak now, but one day she'll soar into the sky and become an existence that others could only look up to and cannot be reached. Mo Yan's voice carried a sense of affirmation in the indifference. After seeing so many surprises and trump cards of Lu Mu Yen, and with the thousands of years of experience he's had, this woman's future achievements would certainly not be meek and his choice couldn't be wrong. The Icewan was startled when he heard Mo Yan's telepathic words. The spirit devourer was just that optimistic about that woman. He cast his gaze to Lu Mu Yen and took a good look. Before, because the woman was young, he didn't pay much attention, but now that he looked closely, she was actually a really beautiful woman. Since she had such a gorgeous appearance now, once she grew up, she'd definitely fit the saying one look back with a smile gives birth to thousands of types of charm and would definitely be beautiful enough to cause the downfall of a country. In actual fact, he wasn't gay. He just liked to tease beautiful men and women, and even more so towards beautiful men that were nourishing to the eye. Yet who knew which son of a bitch spread the rumor that he was gay, and now just randomly teasing a beautiful man caused him to be beaten beyond recognition. Was it easy for him, was it? Have you made a decision? Ming Xiu saw the eyes of the Icewan look here and there, and even moved his gaze onto Lu Mu Yen, so he asked grimly. The Icewan had a carefree nature, and had long tossed away his moral integrities, so he immediately resigned himself to fate and nodded, "I'll regard her as my master." He also wanted to visit the human world to have a look. The master who was even chosen by the spirit devourer shouldn't be too bad, otherwise even if he had to risk being a eunuch, he wouldn't succumb. Of course, if the woman wanted to order him around right now, then it wouldn't be so easy. Without strength and ability higher than him, he wouldn't obey from the bottom of his heart. As a result, Lu Mu Yen didn't even get to use the methods of enticement to kidnap and threats that she had originally prepared, and the one human one beast had already helped settle a high-level flying mount for her. A drop of blood fell on the middle of the Icewan's brows. Lu Mu Yen formed a few Taoist seals, forming a contract seal mark, and a difficult, obscure incantation poured out from her mouth. Immediately, a soft, jade-colored light shone brightly, instantly enveloping her and the Icewan, lasting an incense stick of time. When the light curtain dissipated, the contract of equals was formed, and Lu Mu Yen and the Icewan also had a connection between their hearts. One lousy technically translates to your father, but in this case, considering its usage in another novel of this author's, translating it to your father is just weird. It's an arrogant way of saying I, used often by men. I'm going to keep it as it is. 2a saying meaning to get what you want whenever you want it. 3 here, perverted just means abnormal/twisting logic etc. 4 pay is used to indicate spitting. Usually used when you hear something unlucky or you don't like what you hear, or even what you, yourself had accidentally said, and you just spit on it, hoping whatever was said doesn't happen. Kind of like knocking on wood. Chapter 128, The Icewan that overturned the understanding of his appearance after the jade-colored light curtain dissipated. Lu Mu Yen and the Icewan was successfully contracted. Lu Mu Yan's contract of equals belonged as an ancient spell, so after the contract was completed, the Ice Swan's body shone with a cyan blue color. Not long after, all the injuries he had suffered from Ming Xiao were recovered, and the feathers on his body were brighter than before. Even the few tail feathers that had been plucked grew out. He narcissistically wanted to use his mouth to comb the beautiful tail feathers but found that there was still a golden ring around his mouth. He looked at Lu Mu Yen aggrievedly, and telepathically said, "Beauty, I still have your man's thing on my mouth, can you tell him to take it away?" Lu Mu Yen couldn't resist twitching the corners of her lips. She slapped the Ice Swan on the head. "Speak properly, no wonder you owe some punishment." This bird's mouth was indeed cheap. Even she had the urge to beat him up. However, this stinky bird had now become her flying spirit pet, so she naturally had to take care of it more or less. So she asked Ming Xiao with a smile, "Can the golden ring on his mouth be removed?" Ming Xiao glanced at the Ice Swan as a warning, and with a move of two of his fingers, the golden ring around the beak disappeared in thin air. Then Lu Mu Yen found that there was an extra palm-sized golden bangle in her hand. When this stinky bird's mouth is cheap, hoop it around it. When Ming Xiao turned his head to talk to Lu Mu Yen, his eyes were filled with doting. Lu Mu Yen couldn't help but smile as she pursed her lips and nodded, "All right." The Ice Swan rolled his eyes at the two. Neither the man nor woman were benevolent. Just how unlucky did he have to become this woman's spirit pet? Seeing the Ice Swan getting up and shaking its feathers in an ostentatious manner, Ming Xiao's eyes sank. He chanted a hex in his mouth, then used his elemental energy to draw a void talisman in the air, and a transparent, runed golden dragon flew into the air before instantly entering into the Ice Swan's body. The Ice Swan that was just stretching froze on the spot, and found that more than half of his demonic energy was actually sealed by this beautiful man. He glared his little eyes at Ming Xiao angrily and said in the human language, "What are you doing sealing my demonic energy?" "There are two reasons for why I sealed your demonic energy. One is to prevent you from relying on your current strength and not listen to Lu Mu Yan's words, and two is to prevent Lu Mu Yan from relying on your combat power in everything." After Ming Xiao and the Ice Swan finished talking, he looked at Lu Mu Yan affectionately. "I sealed most of the demonic energy in his body. He now only has the strength of a tier 6 demonic beast. If you don't encounter a life or death situation, he wouldn't be able to break the seal." Lu Mu Yan knew Ming Xiao's deeper meaning. He was afraid that after contracting a tier 8 strength spirit pet, she'd rely on it too much and delay her cultivation. She was moved by this man's attentiveness. There was a smile between her brows. That's perfect." She also didn't want to rely on the Ice Swan's power to grow up. Without experiencing wind and rain, how could one see a rainbow? The Ice Swan listened to the conversation between the two, and his entire bird was exceptionally uncomfortable now. Didn't being trapped at tier 6 demonic beast cultivation base mean that he wouldn't even be able to transform into the human form? Unreconciled, he tried to mobilize the demonic energy in his Yaofu, but he finally miserably discovered that he indeed could no longer transform into the human form. "How can I transform when you suppressed my cultivation base to a tier 6 demonic beast?" the Ice Swan yelled in dissatisfaction. Ming Xiao's lips raised in an arc, as if he'd let this ostentatious stinky bird transform into the human form and circle Lu Mu Yen all day. Even if he knew that he was gay, he still wouldn't allow it. "Your job is to act as a flying mount. Why do you need to transform into the human form? Come and read on our website Wuxia World site." Thanks. There was a sharp cold light in Ming Xiao's eyes, making the Ice Swan who wanted to refute immediately shut up. Although this man's cultivation base wasn't as high as him, but he had too many methods, and his combat power was alarming, especially that true dragon aura on his body that made him even more fearful. He decided not to provoke this pervert for the time being. In the future, after coaxing little Master well, as if he'd still need to be afraid that this man wouldn't lift the seal for him. Lu Mu Yan watched in amusement as Ming Xiao oppressed her spirit pet but didn't stop him. This bird's personality, compared to the appearance after transforming, completely overturned her understanding. What elegant, bookish aura, so it was all just a pretense. What's your name? Lu Muyen asked, raising her eyes to look at the Ice One. She couldn't always call him Ice Master or Ice One right. The Ice One wanted to rub his head on the little master's shoulder, but was stopped by Ming Xiao, who extended a hand. He could only purse his mouth and said, Master, I'm called Bing Ji. Lu Muyen felt that this name wasn't that bad, so she didn't help make a nickname. Let's set off and go back. Lu Muyen was in a good mood after contracting a high-level flying mount, but she was still a little worried about whether her family would be so anxious that they'd flip the sky because of her. Ming Xiao nodded. He also had some important things to do, sure. And so, the two stepped onto Bing J's back, and he spread his wings, flying both of them towards the direction of the imperial capital of Yanzhou Kingdom. Imperial capital, Yanzhou Kingdom. After the news of Lu Muyen's death in the glacial mountain range was spread by scheming people deliberately, it was known by everyone. The Gu clan and the Lu clan's political opponents were all watching them as a joke in secret. As everyone knew, whether it was when Lu Muyen was still a trash, or whether it was after she eradicated her terminal meridian's constitution and displayed her exceptional talents, she was still the treasure that the Lu clan held in their palms and loved dearly. Marshal Lao's 3 sons and 1 daughter all gave birth to sons, and Lu Muyen was the only granddaughter, so no matter who in the Lu clan, from old to young, they all regarded her as a treasure. Now that the news that Lu Muyen was unfortunately buried in the lava pool was spread, it caused a mighty uproar in the Lu clan and even the entire imperial capital. Lu Mubai was still in a coma when he was sent back to the Lu clan. He had used a trace of his origin energy and received backlash from the spell, plus the fact that Lan Si didn't want to add frost to snow, so he made him faint. It would take at last 5 more days for him to wake up. Lan Si, where's my family's yener? Lu Zhantian looked at Lan Si coldly with a tense expression. If the rumors were true, he'd definitely go tear off the roof of Empire Academy and the Imperial Palace. If it weren't that Lu Muyan's soul tablet was still completely intact in the Ancestral Hall, they wouldn't have been able to bear it and would have killed their way into the Imperial Palace to find the Imperial teacher and Wanli to settle their debts. Seeing the nervousness on the faces of Marshal Lu and the Lu Mou married couple, Lan Si didn't keep them guessing and immediately told them what had happened in the glacial mountain range. Lu Mou pondered for a bit, then looked at Lan Si, his eyes solemn. You mean to say that Yener didn't die after falling into the lava pool? That monarch Ming will rescue her, and your purpose of rushing back is just to draw out that secret force in the darkness. His clear and handsome face was exceptionally calm, but a layer of killing intent condensed in his heart. Since those people dared to touch their family's treasure, then they must be prepared to deal with their Lu clan's revenge. Lan Si took a sip of tea in his teacup and nodded. Those who want to kill Lu Muyen are obviously similar to sacrificial soldiers. In order for them to complete their mission, they would fight with their lives without hesitation. That entity is very mysterious, and it's definitely not like something that the Empire could raise. According to your opinion, that wave of people who attempted to assassinate Yener might be an entity of another kingdom? Lu Zhantian's brows furrowed tightly. If this were the case, then things would become more complicated. If those who attempted to assassinate his family's Yener were sacrificial soldiers sent by another kingdom's entity, then it also meant that this attack wasn't aimed mainly at Lu Muyen, but the entire Lu clan. The implied meanings behind this were worth pondering. Chapter 129, Lu Muyen's dead. The news that Lan Si brought made the Lu clan's father and son fall into deep thought. Have you investigated the force that attempted to assassinate Yener? Lu Zhantian asked. Lan Si slid his fingertip over the rim of the teacup and after a long pause, he replied, I suspect that there are influential officials of the Empire who colluded with other kingdoms' powers. After all, Lu Xiang and Hu Fei taking action against Lu Mu Yen meant that they should be chess pieces buried in Yanzhou Kingdom by that force. Lu Mo Yu tapped his fingers irregularly on the table. Lan Si's words were exactly what they had guessed. If they followed this clue, then the Gu clan was most suspicious. Lan Si, now our main concern is when my family's yener could safely return. Lu Mo Yu temporarily put aside the complex affairs of the kingdom. What he worried most about now was the safety of his treasured daughter. Ling Yuxin's beautiful face was filled with worries, and there was a haze in her eyes. If any misfortune befalls my daughter, your Empire Academy won't be removed from the responsibility either. After all, that person named Hu Fei is your trial instructor this time. If anything happened to her baby girl, she must make the Empire Academy pay the price. To begin with, she didn't approve of Yener going to the glacial mountain range for some trial. If it weren't that the principal found her husband to discuss the details and guaranteed Yener's safety, how could she put her daughter in that kind of danger? Lan Si also knew that this time Lu Mu Yen being knocked into the lava pond by Hu Fei was also the Academy's responsibility. If it weren't for Monarch Ming taking action to kill Hu Fei, he would have wanted to tear his body into thousands of pieces too. Originally, he was just left as bait for fishing, but who knew he turned out to be a scourge in the end. This was also a lesson to be learned. Don't worry. I can guarantee that Lu Mu Yen will be fine. With the strength of Monarch Ming, he probably already found Lu Mu Yen. If even then she died, then Monarch Ming needn't bother living. Despite hearing such assurance from Lan Si, the hearts of those in the Lu clan were still not at ease. Now, Lingyu Axian always carried the soul tablet, which had Lu Mu Yan's soul energy within it, everywhere. Only when the soul tablet was intact could they temporarily feel relieved. In a beautiful, imposing, and majestic mansion in the Imperial capital, Gu Yanran played chess with Gu Yuankai in the study, when a black-clothed man suddenly appeared in the room on one knee. Gu Yuankai stared at the chess game without lifting his eyelids and asked, "Is Lu Mu Yen really dead?" The man in black replied respectfully, "This subordinate has discovered what happened that day. If there's no accident, then Lu Mu Yen would definitely have died." Then, he revealed the news that he inquired about, and he didn't hide the fact that Monarch Ming went into the lava to search for Lu Mu Yen. Gu Yanran's originally gentle and pleasant temperament had already undergone earth-shaking changes. There was always a lingering haze on her face, unable to be rid of. Her face was pale, and her entire person looked gloomy and depressive. Hearing that the masked man in red who rescued Lu Mu Yen at the auction last time disregarded his life and jumped into the lava to look for her, the jealousy in Gu Yanran's eyes appeared as if it were about to erupt. She gritted her teeth and said bitterly, "That woman's just a vixen. This way of death is too easy on her." Gu Yanran wasn't reconciled. In her heart, she didn't want Lu Mu Yen to die like this. It wasn't pity, but instead, the hatred in her heart made her want to torture Lu Mu Yen to death with her own hands. Gu Yuankai placed a black chess piece on the board, his face calm, and his voice was stern. "Yen Ran, you lost." Gu Yanran looked down at the chessboard, feeling even more annoyed. Her expression was full of grievance. Daughter really can't swallow this anger. Now that her dantian was destroyed by Lu Mu Yen, and her entire cultivation base was useless, she would be gloated about and looked at with contempt and sympathy if she went outside. How she hated. Once she was the most dazzling pearl in the freshman class of the Empire Academy. Lu Mu Yen was just a trash grit that chased after Qi Yi Xian. Now she also tasted what it felt like to become trash, but it also made her feel even more resentful against Lu Mu Yen. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks, Yen Ran, that person already promised to repair your dantian after the matter's done. The loss of your cultivation base is only temporary. Lu Mu Yen is also just a touchstone for you to grow into a strong person. You shouldn't accumulate too much resentment against her, otherwise you'll definitely be troubled by heart demons in the future. Gu Yuankai was a clear-headed and rational person. He didn't agree with his daughter's endless hatred towards Lu Muyen. If a heart demon appeared, then it'd be exceptionally difficult in the future to advance to a high-level sword master. Gu Yanran also knew that what her dad said was truth, but the long-standing grievances had already been buried in her, so how could it be resolved? Unless she personally killed Lu Muyen, then could her hatred be dispelled. Dad, when that time comes, I want to massacre the Lu clan with my own hands. A ruthless look flashed in Gu Yanran's eyes. Even if Lu Muyen died, she'd also make the Lu clan pay the price by having their entire clan exterminated. Gu Yuankai not only didn't feel frightened by Gu Yanran's cruelty but was instead very gratified. This was right. This was the daughter he had carefully nurtured. All right. I'll let you personally exterminate the entire Lu clan when that time comes. The next day, Lu Zhantian took Lu Moyu into the palace to find the emperor and the imperial teacher to settle their debts, and also personally led people to smash the Empire Academy's inscribed boards. Afterwards, the door of the Lu clan remained closed and there was a faint sound of crying that came from within. This also confirmed the news that Lu Muyen had died in the glacial mountain range. In addition to those who gloated and watched the good show, there were also some people who sympathized and felt sorry about it. The Lu clan's father and son did this as they wanted to let the secret forces in the dark relax their vigilance and lure the snake out of the cave. As if they would tolerate venomous snakes on the bed, spying from the darkness one. Failure to remove them wasn't only harmful to the Lu clan, but also to the entire empire. A secret room in the Imperial Palace. A middle-aged man in a purple robe sat on the main seat, and the Emperor Yun Tianqin and Imperial teacher Yun Song sat beneath him with respectful expressions. The man held a string of Buddhist beads in his hand. Each black bead was very smooth, and could be seen that it was caused by frequent rubbing. Lu Muyen is really dead. According to the current information, she should be dead. Yun Song sighed. It was a pity for such a good seedling that was Lu Muyen. He originally even wanted Wanli to focus on raising her. Yun Tianqin was silent for a while and said, I feel that Lu Muyen may not be dead. Hearing what the emperor said, the purple-clothed man's expressionless face displayed a bit of interest. Why do you say so? I found that the Lu clan's reaction to the news of Lu Muyen's death appeared normal on the surface, but there's just something that feels wrong. Yun Tianqin paused, then continued to say, I know that all the descendants of the Lu clan's main bloodline have a soul tablet. You would know whether one's dead or not by looking at the soul tablet, so whether Lu Muyen was dead or not after falling into the lava pool, the Lu clan would know the clearest. Coming to the Imperial Palace to cause trouble and smashing the Empire Academy's inscribed board, although it appeared to be venting, but based on my understanding of the Marshal and General Lu, if the Lu girl really died, then they would definitely have already done something crazy long ago, and not just touched the surface of things. Yun Song furrowed his brows and asked, You mean to say they did it for others to see? Indeed. Let alone the Lu clan's fear of that hidden power, even our imperial family must also find the power that will secretly endanger Yanzhou Kingdom. Yun Tianqin nodded. The middle-aged man in purple chuckled lightly and his eyes that looked at Yun Tianqin carried a rare hint of admiration. Indeed. The Lu clan is indeed pretending. That old little kid Lu Zhantian already came to find this eminence too to discuss this. One, I think it's a play on, how could one tolerate people snoring by their side on the bed? Also meaning, how could one tolerate others encroaching on own territory? Similar idea, how could one allow snakes to encroach their territory? 2. Honestly, Chinese people and their love of addressing themselves with their own titles instead of me/I to show their status like, This Highness used by Ming Xiu, This Monarch used by Bing Ji, now used by this person lol. I even considered this magnificence to translate but that's just too much now haha. Honestly I'm just randomly assigning a word to them now. XD after translating to sword venerable, I even considered changing to this venerable, but even when the same word is used, sometimes it might have slightly different connotations, so I left it. Plus I wasn't bothered, Now, I just remembered that there's still Your Excellency that I haven't used. Who should I use that for next, Chapter 130. The Imperial family's attitude. Yun Tianqin and Yun Tsang looked at the purple-clothed man in surprise. That old little boy is extremely crafty, but this time the Lu clan's little girl's incident really did infuriate him. The purple-clothed man rubbed the Buddhist beads in his hand, and one could hear that he was rather close to Lu Zhantian from his tone. Yun Tianqin was recently receiving the Empress' cold reception, and he deeply realized that the Lu clan's grievance this time was deep. Imperial grandfather, what do we need to do as the Imperial family? The relationship between he and Lu Moz was already cold to begin with in the recent 2 years. If they really fought because of Lu Muyan's situation, then he was afraid that she'd break everything off with him. Do nothing for the time being. Let's talk about it when the Lu clan's little girl returns. The purple-clothed man lifted his head and looked into the distance. It's been said that the Lu clan's little girl is also a clever one. There shouldn't be any problems. When she returns, you both try your best to befriend her. Yun Tianqin and the Imperial teacher exchanged a glance and saw the confusion in each other's eyes. He tentatively asked, Imperial grandfather, is it that you desire to befriend the alchemist behind Lu girl? The purple-clothed man sneered. The alchemist behind her is not even known by this eminence, so how could one speak of befriending? She and Monarch Ming does not have a normal relationship. Simply based on this, it is worth our effort to befriend. Monarch Ming. You mean the senior sword sovereign who jumped into the lava pool for Lu girl? Yun Tianqin had investigated what occurred at the glacial mountain range, so he also knew the existence of Monarch Ming. Yun Tsang's cloudy eyes displayed a sharp light. Is it possible the Monarch Ming that your lord speaks of is the person who appeared and saved the Lu clan's girl at the Ming Chamber of Commerce Alliance? When they heard of what occurred last time in front of the Ming Chamber of Commerce Alliance, they had ordered people to investigate the 2 sword monarchs present. It took some means and time to find out the identity of the black-clothed old man, but the moment they had just started investigating Monarch Ming's identity, they were warned by the Ming Chamber of Commerce Alliance's superiors and requested to not spread the news. Due to that, they gave up and sealed the news. Yes. It is him. The purple-clothed man nodded and continued, if I did not assume wrong, then he should be the hall master of the 9-layer hall, and also the real power behind the Ming Chamber of Commerce Alliance. What? Yun Tianqin and Yun Tsang exclaimed in disbelief. The purple-clothed man raised the corner of his lips slightly. No need to be so surprised. The sword sovereign powerhouses of the 10 distinguished clans at the glacial mountain range probably did not even recognize him, otherwise they would definitely not dare to contend for the Heavenly Frost golden crystal with him. I also only accidentally learned of this person's existence when I traveled to the southern region 3 years ago. The purple-clothed man's eyes were full of caution and fear. This person is powerful and mysterious, and the forces behind him is even more unfathomable. Our Yenzhou kingdom can only befriend, and can never, ever offend. An existence not even known by the sword sovereign powerhouses of the 10 distinguished clans. Then this person is too mysterious. Yunkan sighed. When Monarch Ming saved Lu girl outside of the Ming Chamber of Commerce Alliance, he was only at Sword Monarch Cultivation Base. Just how long has it been, and he already advanced to Sword Sovereign Cultivation Base, and even fought 1 against 9. Truly too strong. The 9-layer hall is one of the most mysterious forces in the southern region. The 10 distinguished clans of the eastern region can only be ranked as third-rate forces there. Not knowing the existence of Monarch Ming is also understandable. He must be exceptional to be able to sit on the seat of Hall Master. Being strong is the first condition. The purple-clothed man explained. Yun Tianqin thought deeply about it, then said, as such, then the mysterious master behind Lu Girl is potentially Senior Monarch Ming. Highly possible. Otherwise he wouldn't risk jumping into the lava pool to save her. The purple-clothed man said, "As for Monarch Ming's identity, you two must keep secret, and must not disclose it." Yes. Not to mention the mysterious and unpredictable 9-layer hall, even the Ming Chamber of Commerce alliance that spanned the entire Tianling continent was an existence that Yanzhou Kingdom couldn't provoke. They naturally wouldn't be loquacious and cause trouble. 3 days later. Lu Muyen and Ming Xiu rode Bing Ji to a barren mountain outside Yanzhou Kingdom. The Ice Luan's figure was too eye-catching, so she decided to enter the city alone. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks, woman, I'll send you up to here. Ming Xiu reached out and hugged Lu Muyen, then immediately let go. He had probed the entire Imperial capital using his mental energy and didn't discover any ambushes. It was safe for Lu Muyen to enter the city and go home alone. After leaving Ming Xiu's warm embrace, Lu Muyen restrained the emotions in her eyes and smiled. "All right. Let's meet again. Woman. I believe we'll meet again very soon." On Ming Xiu's face that was so handsome it was otherworldly, rose a devilishly charming smile, and he leaned in beside her ear. "If something happens, take the Ming Alliance token that I gave you last time to find Elder Yi at the Ming Chamber of Commerce Alliance. He will obey your instructions." Lu Muyan's clear eyes were filled with a dense smile. "All right." Ming Xiu left a kiss on her forehead, activated a yellow talisman, then turned and disappeared into the barren mountain. "Beauty, that pervert's gone. Even if you want to kiss and hug again, there won't be any more chances." A certain cheap bird's mouth teased. Lu Muyen retracted her gaze and looked askance at Bing Ji. With a thought, a golden ring flew from her hand and instantly encircled the big Ice Luan's beak. "Master, I was wrong, I'll never tease you again." Then, Bing Ji's pitiful voice sounded in Lu Muyan's mind. "You're just owing a beating." Lu Muyen rolled her eyes at him, then raised an eyebrow and asked, "Are you going to take the initiative to enter the spirit pet bangle yourself, or should I put you in?" Bing Ji's two watery eyes looked at her grievously, then said in an accusatory manner, "Why can Mo Yen not need to return to the spirit pet bangle? Master is the best, I won't go in either, alright? Just think about it, how could he, a dignified ice master of the glacial mountain range, even if his cultivation base was restricted now, toss away his status and stay in the spirit pet bangle? If those mean friends of his knew, then wouldn't they laugh off their teeth? Mo Yen looks like a fire cloud mink, so it doesn't matter if others see him. But you, with just a soar into the sky above the Imperial capital, everyone would know that a descendant of a divine beast came. Do you still think I don't have enough trouble?" Lu Muyen furrowed her brows. This stinky bird didn't only have a cheap beak, but he sure had a lot of issues with things. Bing Ji chalked, then glanced at the cold Mo Yen on Little Master's body, and his eyes rolled around in thought. Then he eventually gritted his teeth, the demonic energy in his Yaofu activated, and his body gradually shrank, finally turning into a multicolored parrot. "Master, in this way, I don't have to enter the spirit pet bangle anymore, right?" Bing Ji spread his wings and flew onto Lu Muyan's other shoulder and rubbed her shoulder with his head. The light smell of medicine on Little Master was so nice, no wonder that pervert loved to stick to her side. Seeing Bing Ji transform from a giant, tsundere, an extraordinarily beautiful descendant of divine beasts into an ostentatious multicolored parrot, Lu Muyan's eyelids couldn't help but twitch. The visual difference was too big. "It's fine for you to stay outside, but you're not allowed to cause me any trouble, otherwise you'll pluck out all your feathers." Lu Muyen flicked Bing Ji on the head with her fingers as a warning. This restless stinky bird probably couldn't be locked away either, so she might as well place him beneath her eyes and watch him. Then the little white snake on her wrist flicked its forked tongue out of Bing Ji, expressing its dislike. Master belonged to it, this stinky bird was so detestable. Mo Yen also gave Bing Ji a cold eye, scorned at being associated with him, and spontaneously disappeared from Lu Mu Yan's shoulder, entering the spirit pet bangle. Lu Mu Yan held her forehead. Her place was almost becoming a demonic beast den. Note, oh, I can't wait till it really becomes a demonic beast den, ahahaha. Chapter 131, Making a Deal with the Imperial Family. Lu Mu Yen covered her body with a white cloak when she entered the Imperial capital city, and no one recognized her. When she arrived at the general's mansion, she used her mental energy to investigate the area. When she found that no one was following her, she leapt lightly over the wall and went inside. Who? Lu Mu Yan didn't use any concealing methods when she entered the general's mansion, that's why she was immediately found by the steward. She took off the cloak over her head, revealing a stunning face, and shouted with an affectionate smile, "Grandpa E. Young Miss has finally returned." Seeing the visitor was Lu Mu Yan, Steward E was so emotional that he had tears in his eyes. He also knew that the rumors outside weren't true. Lu Mu Yan stepped forward to support him. "Grandpa E, don't worry about me, I've got good luck. Young Miss is worthy, so you must have heaven's help." Steward E quickly wiped his eyes and said with a smile, "Quickly go to the secret room, the Marshal and General are discussing your business." "All right, Grandpa E, I'll go first then." There was a secret passage under an empty courtyard of the Lu clan which contained several practice rooms and a secret room equipped with arrays. Only people with the recognized aura of the Lu clan could enter. Lu Mu Yan walked to the door of the secret room, put her hands on the stone wall of the secret room, then merged her aura into the stone wall, and a stone door opened in the middle. As soon as she walked into the stone wall, she saw two pairs of excited eyes staring at her. "Yenner." Lu Zhantian and Lu Mo Yu stood up at the same time and exclaimed, "Paternal Grandpa, Dad, I've returned." Lu Mu Yen walked towards the two with warmth in her eyes. Lu Zhantian was so excited his face flushed entirely red. "You stinky girl finally returned. We were so anxious. As long as you've returned." Lu Mo Ye's handsome and elegant face also revealed a rare expression of having peace of mind. "Just what's going on?" Lu Zhantian took Lu Mu Yen to sit down and ask. Lu Mu Yen also didn't conceal anything and briefly recounted what occurred in the glacial mountain range. She didn't even conceal the matter of subduing the spirit flame in Bing Ji. These were all family that she could trust, so she'd tell them the truth. "So that's how it was. Our Lu clan really owes Monarch Ming a huge personal favor." Lu Zhantian felt lingering fear in his heart after hearing it and had gratitude in his tone. If it weren't for the ice bangle that Monarch Ming gave Yenner, his family's Yenner might just have been buried in the lava. Lu Mo Yu nodded in agreement. "No matter how strong he is, our Lu clan will definitely repay this kindness." Lu Mu Yen couldn't really speak and stop them. She couldn't just tell her paternal grandfather and father that Ming Xiu, that guy, in actual fact, fell in love with her right. Although she and Ming Xiu both had that sort of meaning, but there wasn't even the first stroke of the character for 8-1, it still wasn't time to tell her family. "This is the Tier 8 ice one you contracted." Lu Zhantian's tone carried a little bit of doubt. No matter whether Lu Zhantian looked left or right at the colorful parrot on his granddaughter's shoulder, it didn't appear to be a Tier 8 demonic beast. Bing Ji's forehead was creased heavily. His lifetime's reputation was ruined just like this. Well, he turned into a colorful parrot himself. Otherwise it'd be too eye-catching to go out in the true form of an Isolwan. That's true. It's better to hide it like this. Lu Zhantian also hoped that his granddaughter would be low-key for the time being. "Master, please take off the golden ring from my mouth. I promise I won't speak nonsense." Lu Mu Yen narrowed her eyes at him and threw a few cold knives too over at him. It'd be strange if she believed this stinky bird's mouth. What if he tells them everything about her and Ming Xiu? Then she wouldn't know how to deal with her paternal grandfather and father at all. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. Seeing the warnings in Little Master's eyes and how he couldn't make any mischief with the seal inside him, he could only sullenly curse Lu Muyen and Ming Xiu in his heart. He had lived so smoothly like the wind and water for more than 100 years, but who knew that he'd end up like this because of a simple tease? He really didn't know if it were because he did too many wicked things in his previous life that he ended up like this. Yenner, do you have any plans? Lu Mo Yu poured a cup of tea for Lu Muyen and asked with concern. Lu Muyen took the tea, staring at the clear tea water in the teacup. Naturally, I won't let those people go. Do you want others to know the news of your return? Lu Mo Yu knew that his daughter had grown up now and had her own thoughts, so he'd respect them. Not for the time being. Just let those people be happy for a few days first. Lu Muyen sneered. She was certain that the Gu clan was definitely involved in her assassination. All right. Killing intent flashed past the bottom of Lu Mo's eyes. The people or clans that participated in the assassination attempt of his precious daughter, the Lu clan wouldn't let go of them. Lu Muyen thought it funny when she looked at Grandpa Lu, who was currently staring with big wide eyes at Bing Ji while the latter stared back with small wide eyes, then said, "Paternal Grandpa, I want to go see the sword sovereign ancestor of the Imperial family tomorrow." Lu Zhantian knew that his granddaughter had a lot of mischievous ideas, and he didn't want to restrain her. Sure. I'll take you to see him tomorrow. After conversing with the two a little longer, Lu Muyen left the secret room with Bing Ji. Early the next morning, a carriage went straight to the Imperial Palace from the Lu clan, and spies from various parties returned to report. After only 2 hours, all the clans and forces, whether large or small, of the imperial capital, received news of Lu Zhantian wreaking havoc in the Imperial Pavilion Hall, and they all felt that he had definitely gone crazy. Just what sort of place was the Imperial Pavilion Hall? That was the place where the sword sovereign ancestor of the Imperial family lived in. Lu Zhantian, a sword king, dared cause trouble simply for a dead granddaughter. His head had really been clamped by a door. Yun Tianchen was just marking some memorials to the throne and was also shocked when he heard the news that Lu Zhantian wanted to smash the inscribed board of the Imperial Pavilion Hall, so he quickly hurried over. This father-in-law of his truly was courageous and strategic, but whenever he did things, he did it based on his feelings, and he had a bad and stubborn temper. If he offended Imperial grandfather, he really didn't know how to help the Lu clan clean the grounds. Yet who knew that as soon as he stepped into the Imperial Pavilion Hall, he saw 3 people sitting in the hall, talking and laughing, chatting over tea. Where was the legendary tense situation as if swords were drawn and bows were bent? Yun Tianchen's hovering heart finally settled. Lu Muyen didn't get up when she saw that Yun Tianchen had arrived, only smiled and greeted, "Paternal Uncle Emperor." "Little girl, I just knew you'd come back alive." Yun Tianchen also didn't care about Lu Muyen's actions. This girl had always been very bold. Yun Tianchen smiled at Lu Muyen, then walked over to the purple-clothed man to greet respectfully. "Imperial grandfather." "Sit." The purple-clothed man nodded. "Lu clan's little girl, for what reason do you come to see this eminence this time?" The purple-clothed man moved his gaze onto Lu Muyen, his expression gentle, just like an elder member of the family. Lu Muyen also didn't want to go around in circles and said straightforwardly, "Imperial ancestor, I want to make a deal with the Imperial family." "Want to make a deal with the Imperial family?" The purple-clothed man revealed a hint of interest. "Let's hear it." "I believe that you all know about the fact that I'm being chased by sacrificial soldiers who had been sent by an unknown force. I suspect that their main purpose in killing me is for one thing," Lu Muyen said. The purple-clothed man stroked the Buddhist beads in his hand and asked after a moment of silence, "Your meaning is, their purpose is the marrow cleansing pill?" "Aside from the marrow cleansing pill, he also couldn't find any other purpose for those people to sacrifice a sword monarch and more than a dozen sword kings and sword spirits to kill Lu Muyen. Come true, one things haven't even started between LMY and MX, so how could she tell them anything yet is her meaning. I mean, one day LMY's gotta tell her family he fell in love with her. And she fell in love with him, he, too figuratively meaning sharp, cold gazes that feel penetrating. Chapter 132, Love-Making Poison. Gu Yuntian and Lu Zhantian had different reactions after listening to the conversation between the two. Lu Zhantian exuded a chill, secretly hunting down his granddaughter just for some pills. Those people truly deserved to die. Meanwhile, Yuntian's eyes revealed slight confusion. If it's for the marrow cleansing pill, then shouldn't they try Tokach Lu girl? Why do they want to assassinate her instead? The purple-clothed man looked at Lu Muyen meaningfully and smiled. What do you think, little girl? If the enemy kingdom had a person who owned marrow-cleansing pills, and who could also refine the energy-nourishing pill, but was the granddaughter of a great marshal who can't be used for themselves, then what would you all do if it were you? Lu Muyen asked with a light smile. Yun Tianchen answered, naturally kill. Then he pondered for a while and said, so that's how it is. It seems that the mastermind behind that force is an enemy kingdom of Yanzhou Kingdom. Paternal Uncle Emperor, have you ever felt tired recently during the day, but at night, you'd be as vigorous as a dragon and as lively as a tiger? Lu Muyen looked at Yun Tianchen with a smile that wasn't quite a smile. Yun Tianchen was taken aback and smiled somewhat awkwardly. There has indeed been such a situation in recent months. Could there be something wrong? He had long suspected that something was wrong with his body, but the Empire's physicians and alchemists had all checked him and there was no major problem. Of course something's wrong. Lu Muyen continued, can I feel your pulse? Sure. He didn't doubt Lu Muyen's medical skills. He had never told outsiders about his symptoms, so since she could tell his symptoms, then she must have an extraordinary side. Lu Muyen probed Yun Tianchen's pulse and furrowed her brows unconsciously. There's a type of toxin hidden in your body, but it hasn't broken out yet, so other physicians or alchemists can't detect it. But if you wait for them to be able to detect it, then Paternal Uncle Emperor, your entire cultivation base would probably already be lost. What kind of poison is it? Yun Tianchen, as the monarch of an entire kingdom, indeed had a heart that was fearless against danger. Even if he was shocked inwardly, but he didn't display it. A kind of love-making poison one. Seeing the confusion in Yun Tianchen's face, she added, Paternal Uncle Emperor, when night arrives and you find that you're really energetic, is it when you go to Imperial Noble Consort Gus' place? Yun Tianchen narrowed his eyes slightly and concealed the dark light in his eyes. He hadn't felt it before, but in retrospect, it was indeed true. Every time he was full of energy and when the fire in his abdomen was burning like a stove, had always inexplicably walked to Gu Yanting's palace. As long as he made love for the night, the next day he'd feel refreshed. This situation was as if he had no control over it. The only person he loved was Lu Moz, and yet he was extremely infatuated with Gu Yanting's body. This was already incompatible with the calming method he cultivated. It seemed that there must be hidden circumstances. You mean Gu Yanting poisoned me? I once smelled the trigger for this sort of love-making poison on Imperial Noble Consort Gu, so just now when I saw that Paternal Uncle Emperor had abnormal bloodshot eyes, and there were blue eye circles, I guessed that you were affected with this kind of poison. Lu Muyen retracted the hand on Yun Tianchen's wrist. After checking your pulse now, I can be certain that you've been poisoned by love-making poison. Hearing Lu Muyen's words, coldness couldn't help but rise in Lu Zhantian and the purple-clothed man's eyes. There were indeed many obscurities and much darkness in the palace, but Gu Yanting poisoning Yun Tianchen with love-making poison stepped on their baseline. It was undeniable that Yun Tianchen was the present age's most righteous monarch, and at middle phase Sword King cultivation base, he could live at least 200 or 300 years. After he was inaugurated, he exerted himself in prospering the country, ensuring the kingdom was rich and the people were strong, and Yanzhou Kingdom's territory had also expanded a lot. If there was no accident, he'd rule and manage Yanzhou Kingdom for another 100 years. He was also the best candidate for a monarch. But if the toxin in his body broke out and he lost his cultivation base, then he'd most likely die after living for another 100 years. The period in which he was poisoned could also give other kingdoms an opportunity to take advantage of the situation. Crack! The teacup in Yun Tianchen's hand was crushed by him and his face carried some fury. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. Lu Muyen glanced at Yun Tianchen's teacup that was shattered into powder, and the corners of her lips curled up as she continued, the loss of cultivation base is just a symptom of the early onset of the love-making poison. If the poison isn't cured, then in the later stages, as long as one adds in a type of insect goo too, those that are infected by the goo poison would slowly become a puppet and be controlled by the person who planted the goo. When she turned into a normal human and studied medicine in the human world, she once entered a continent that prospered in the art of the goo and learnt the skills of poisoning with goo and curing goo. She just so happened to know about the love-making poison goo that Yun Tianchin was poisoned with. You know so much about this love-making goo, then Lu girl, you must have a way to solve it. The purple-clothed man turned the Buddhist beads in his hand much faster. Yun Tianchin was his grandson. That girl from the Gu clan dared to have such ideas, she truly deserved to die. Indeed it can be cured. She was here to do business, and this was just a bait for the transaction. Is it difficult to cure? Yun Tianchin still had a smile on his face, but there was no temperature in his eyes. Lu Muyen replied, the love-making poison hadn't yet broken out for the first time, so it's easy to cure. If your cultivation base was lost in the future, and one planted a goo in you, then it'd be difficult to cure. In fact, paternal uncle emperor can ask the imperial physician of the empire to examine the center of the sole of your feet. There must already be initial symptoms of poisoning there. No need. Little girl, you can cure this poison, so it'll naturally seek you to cure it. Yun Tianchin displayed trust on his face. Lu Muyen smiled and said, then I'll have to go back and prepare a few spiritual herbs and treat it for you in a few days. She also added in her heart, and also give you time to investigate this kind of poison. All right. The cure will depend on Lu girl then. After curing it, paternal uncle emperor will thank you greatly. Yun Tianchin was also anxious inwardly. If it truly was like what Lu Muyen said, then he'd face the complete loss of his cultivation base and end up being under Gu Yanting's control. He naturally wouldn't be reconciled. Originally, Gu Yanting was just a bait placed by the Imperial family on the surface of the water, wanting to catch the big fish in the lake, yet who knew that he was poisoned by the bait after the wrong move? It truly was ironic. Lu girl, you said before that you wanted to make a deal with the Imperial family. It shouldn't just be to cure your paternal uncle emperor, is it? The purple-clothed man smiled enigmatically. This girl was even more crafty than Lu Zhantian, that old little kid, and Lu Muyu, that slippery head. Bringing up Yun Tianchin being poisoned first was probably so that she could have an extra bargaining chip for the subsequent negotiations. If Lu Muyen knew ancestor Yun's guess, she'd probably clap her hands and praise him. The older the ginger, the spicier it was too. Naturally it isn't only about the poisoning of paternal uncle emperor, that's just in addition to. Lu Muyen smiled sweetly and blinked her eyes at the purple-clothed man, Imperial ancestor. What if I said I still have marrow-cleansing pills? Ah, the purple-clothed man raised his head and laughed, restraining the shock and joy in his eyes. I just knew that you, girl, is even more crafty than your grandfather. Speak, how do you want to trade? Although he suspected that Lu Muyen still had marrow-cleansing pills in her hand, but he wasn't certain. After all, it was already incredible that so many such heaven-defying pills could spread around. Who knew that she really had some left in her hands? It seemed that the hidden master behind little Lu girl really pampered her dearly. No matter what conditions she made, their Imperial family wouldn't suffer too much. Come true one. This was a bit tricky to translate. Is the name of a type of plant, the silk tree or acacia tree. I'm not good with botany lol. But it's also a euphemism for make love. I just went ahead and translated it into the euphemism meaning because it makes more sense, and that's exactly what the poison is. 2. I'm sure everyone knows Whatgeese, what with the super popular Reverend Insanity being all the hype these days, haha, at least, it was everywhere in the FB groups I joined. Butge's also been used in a lot of sea novels too. It's mostly, if not always, depicted as a type of insect, and depending on the novel, the explanation of how to raise goo is different. In general, and in mythology, goo is a type of black magic, I guess, described as a type of poison where several venomous creatures, centipede, spider, snake etc., are put into a closed container where they devour one another and eventually concentrate all their toxins into the lone survivor. There are some differing versions of the story, including things like what the goo is used for, where it originates etc., but that's about it in general. 3. The older, the wiser, basically. Note, alrightio. First update of the day, another coming at 6 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Time today too. Double updates will ideally continue until the end of the school holidays at the end of January, but circumstances could change. As usual, we'll update changes. Chapter 133, Reach a Deal. Both Yun Tian-chen and Lu Zhan-tian were eagerly waiting to see what conditions for trade Lu Mu-yen was going to propose. Lu girl, how many marrow cleansing pills do you still have? The purple-robed man's action of rubbing the Buddhist beads stopped and asked. Lu Mu-yen stretched out 3 fingers. There are 3 more. All of which can be traded to the Imperial family. All right. This eminence will allow you to make 3 conditions. As long as our Imperial family can do it, we will promise you. Seeing Lu Mu-yen, this little girl, being so straightforward, the Yun clan's ancestor also bluntly promised. And in his heart, he thought, this girl sure could hide things well. There were actually 3 more marrow cleansing pills. With his guess, that probably wasn't all. If he let those old things from the other clans know about it, then he might have to personally go out and request the pills for the Imperial family. It was better to keep this a secret. Lu Mu-yen smiled sweetly, like a little sly fox. All right, Imperial ancestor is much more straightforward than paternal uncle emperor. The corner of Yun Tian-chen's mouth twitched. Last time this girl had extorted him using the energy-nourishing pill, and he only just hesitated for a little bit. Where was he not straightforward? She sure could hold grudges. Lu Mu-yen ignored Yun Tian-chen's gaze that carried slight aggrievement and said to the Yun clan's ancestor, then I won't be polite in making my requests. Make them. First, if the Gu clan participated in the plan to assassinate me, then I want a right to deal with everyone in the Gu clan, including Imperial noble consort Gu. Lu Mu-yen's eyes were sharp. She wouldn't allow the venomous snake of their Lu clan be handed over to anyone else to deal with. The Gu clan felt too weird to her, especially the use of borrowing external forces to forcibly advance their cultivation base, which was the same as those assassins. They definitely wouldn't be as simple as they appeared on the surface, and being merchants for royalty was probably also just a cover. All right. Even if you don't touch the Gu clan, this eminence won't let them go either. There was a deep chill in the eyes of the Yun clan's ancestor. They dared to scheme against Yanzhou Kingdom's emperor, so they must prepare themselves to pay the price. Now that the Lu clan's girl wanted to deal with them, then he was happy to shake his hand off this matter. Lu Mu-yen nodded and continued, Second, our Lu clan wants to build a private army of our own, not affiliated to the Imperial family, but will never betray Yanzhou Kingdom. Yun Tian-chen revealed a look of surprise. This Lu girl's courage was truly huge. His feelings of affection to the Lu clan were stronger than his wariness of them, so he wouldn't object it. He just turned his eyes to the purple-clothed man to wait for him to decide. The Yun clan's ancestor thought for a bit, then agreed, "You can, but the number of people must not exceed 100. This girl, Lu Mu Yen, was a famous alchemist, and was also backed by Ming Xiao and the others. It wasn't difficult to build a strong private army. In order to not threaten the interests of the Imperial family, he could agree, but must limit the number of people. 100 people would affect the Imperial family but had no subversive power. No problem. Lu Mu Yen smiled lightly and agreed. Good armies weren't about quantity, but about quality. The limit of 100 soldiers was also acceptable to her. The last point, you must allow me complete access and to take as I please from the Imperial family's spiritual herb treasury. Seeing the Yun clan's ancestor and Yun Tian Chen's expressions change, she chuckled and added, "Of course, I won't take randomly, let alone empty the Imperial family's spiritual herb treasury. Instead, I'll use certain pills to compensate, such as the energy-nourishing pill I gave you before." The list she issued last time contained a lot of rare spiritual herbs, and the Imperial family provided them all. If she wanted to raise 100 people for the private army of the Lu clan, then it was naturally better to use other people's resources. Being able to save some of her own was a portion saved. Hearing Lu Mu Yen mention the energy-nourishing pill, Yun Tian Chen's eyes lit up, and when the Yun clan's ancestor remembered what the enshrined alchemist had said, he was also interested now. The energy-nourishing pill had miraculous effects on internal and external injuries. Within it, there were several spiritual herb ingredients that even the enshrined grade 3 alchemist, who had studied it for several months, couldn't figure out what they were. If one wanted to obtain it, they had to find Lu Mu Yen. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks, we can promise you, but if it's just providing energy-nourishing pills and if the amount is too small, it wouldn't be effective on the battlefield. So we need you to reproduce a copy for the Imperial family. The Yun clan's ancestor knew this request could be a little too much. After all, pill formulas were as precious as the life of an alchemist. But if Yanzhou Kingdom wanted to use it on the battlefield in large quantities, obviously it was impossible to wait for Lu Mu Yen to slowly refine it. The problem he thought about, Lu Mu Yen also was thinking about. As if she had that much energy to refine a large quantity of energy-nourishing pills or other pills to provide them. It was just a copy of the pill formula, she was also thinking the same, so she was happy to be more relaxed. "I can." After she spoke, she immediately took out a blank jade slip, put it on her head, and she used her mental energy to replicate a copy of the energy-nourishing pill formula. Then she casually handed it over to the Yun clan's ancestor. "This pill formula can be regarded as my sincerity in this cooperation. Little Lu girl is better than the others in the Lu clan in handling affairs. The Lu clan has a hopeful future." The Yun clan's ancestor reached out his hand and took the jade slip. He took a look with his mental energy and smiled at Lu Zhantian with a rare compliment. Lu Zhantian's tall and sturdy body straightened up with a face of seriousness and pride. "The color blue is made out of indigo but is more vivid than indigo one. My family's yener is among the best of the best." Hearing Lu Zhantian's words, the three people, including Lu Mu Yen, couldn't help holding their foreheads. His skin sure was thick. "Lu girl, this eminence can allow you to use the spiritual herbs in the Imperial family's private treasury, but I hope you'll promise me a condition." The Yun clan's ancestor narrowed his eyes slightly and covered the cunning light in his eyes. Lu Mu Yen took a sip of tea and asked slowly, "Imperial ancestor, please say. If your Lu clan wants to build a private army, then they must be raised with pills, right?" The Yun clan's ancestor said with a smile. "That's natural. I suppose the Imperial ancestor wants the pills in providing for the Lu clan's private army." Lu Mu Yen guessed the old fox's thoughts accurately. "Haha, The Yun clan's ancestor laughed heartily with a hint of appreciation in his eyes. Little girl sure is smart. Sure. It's just a few grade 1 and 2 pills. Just provide me with your spiritual herbs when the time comes, then find me 2 alchemists. I'll teach them how to refine them and just supply them together. Lu Mu Yen said with a smile, paying it no mind, but there were calculations in the bottom of her eyes. This sure was a big fish that came to her door. Not only did the Imperial family provide the huge cost of spiritual herbs, now she could even use this to ask for 2 free alchemists to make pills for the Imperial family and Lu clan. It saved time and effort and was mutually beneficial. Excellent. Yun Tianchen and the Yun clan's ancestor couldn't help but hold their foreheads. What did she mean by just a few grade 1 and 2 pills? Grade 1 pills were already very rare on the market, and grade 2 pills were even more scarce. Even the auction houses of the Ming Chamber of Commerce Alliance rarely auctioned them. At once, perhaps only 1 or 2. If her indifferent tone was heard by the sword masters outside who waited for the pills to enter the market and be auctioned, then that was definitely going to pull aggro. But hearing Lu Mu Yan's tone, she didn't just know 1 or 2 types of grade 1 or 2 pills. Their hearts grew fiery with desire now. One must know that raising an alchemist wasn't just supplying them with resources. Without pill formulas, then it was like having ingredients for food but no recipe. Since Lu girl wanted alchemists, then they'd naturally give, and she could even train 1 or 2 for their Imperial family. It was killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Deal. The Yun clan's ancestor immediately made a decision. Lu Mu Yan's beautiful eyes were as bright as the stars, straightforward. I hope we could cooperate happily. The 2 parties signed a contract at Lu Mu Yan's request. When they left the Imperial Pavilion Hall, Lu Zhantian quickly stuffed Lu Mu Yan into the carriage, then ran outside the hall and began to yell and curse, making the hidden spies unable to resist lighting a candle for him. Come true one. So this idiom just means the student surpasses the master. Chapter 134, Smithing Method. After returning to the Lu clan, Lu Mu Yan went to the smithing room first to see Huashao. There was a secret courtyard in the Lu clan which was basically unknown to outsiders. After Huashao arrived with Lu Mu Yan's letter, Lu Mou arranged for him to live in it. Lu Mu Yan still concealed her appearance. After entering the secret courtyard, she went to the specially built smithing room. As soon as she walked to the door, she felt a rush of heat. A layer of restrictions was placed at the door of the smithing room by someone. She raised her lips, swept the restriction with her mental energy, and found a loophole in a flower stand by the door. With a casual wave of her hand, a burst of elemental energy shot out and the restriction instantly revealed a gap that could just accommodate a person, and she immediately slipped in. With the restriction touched, Huashao, who was currently smithing inside, yelled, "Who?" Lu Mu Yan didn't push open the door directly, but instead stood at the door and said one word, "Me." The door opened immediately and Huashao, who had tangled, messy hair and wrinkled clothes, practically flew out from inside. "Little master, you're finally back." Huashao felt that tears were about to wet his eyes. His master finally appeared. Lu Mu Yan glanced at Huashao with disgust and went straight into the room, scanned the messy smithing room, and her brows furrowed unconsciously. She found what appeared to be a clean spot, sat down, and said, "Huashao, can you stop being so sloppy?" Where was this like a smithing room? It was basically a pigsty. No, it was even worse than a pigsty. Huashao knew that his little master liked cleanliness, and found that the room was indeed messy, so he scratched his head in embarrassment and said, "Little master, I've been focused on studying a magic treasure and forgot to clean. I'll clean it up later." "How it is? Are you used to living here?" Lu Mu Yan also knew his natural disposition and no longer remained tangled up with the issue of hygiene. Either way, only Huashao, himself, lived here. Huashao nodded. I'm used to it, but I just miss Little Master. The corner of Lu Muyan's lips twitched slightly. What did she have that was worth for him to miss? Enough, I'm here to ask you about your future plans. Naturally I want to follow Little Master. Huashao winked at Lu Muyan and made a look as if he had suffered bitterly and nursed deep hatred, saying pitifully, Little Master, you won't not want me anymore, right? Since I accepted you as a disciple, I naturally not want you. Lu Muyan pushed Huashao, who had neared her, away. Just how long hadn't this person taken a bath? In fact, I need to trouble you for something. You're my master, please tell me if you have anything to order. Saying you need to trouble me makes it feel as if I'm an outsider. Huashao said with a smile. Lu Muyan felt that she indeed didn't choose incorrectly when she accepted this disciple. She took out a jade slip from her interspatial ring and threw it to Huashao. This is a method for smithing which is perfectly suitable for you to use right now. You can come to me and ask if you have any questions. Huashao's eyes beneath his messy hair were astonishingly bright. He carefully took the jade slip and probed it with his mental energy to study. As he read and read, he unconsciously became engrossed by it. Half a day later, when he snapped out from reading the smithing method in the jade slip, he discovered that his little master was already no longer in the room. After hurriedly running out of the room and looking around, he found Lu Muyan drinking tea in the shade under some vines in the courtyard, enjoying the cool. Little Master. For Huashao, if at first it was because he was attracted by Lu Muyan's rich knowledge of smithing, then now, after reading the smithing method in the jade slip, he was completely loyal. This kind of smithing technique could cause a sensation in Tianling continent if it were revealed. Not to mention grade 3 or 4 smiths, probably even grade 5 smiths or even higher-level smiths would desire it. Is there anything you don't understand after reading the jade slip? It'll stay in the Imperial capital for 3 days. In the 3 days, you can come to me to resolve any confusions. The smithing method that Lu Muyan gave Huashao was something that she had thoroughly studied countless times in her past life, so it was easy to answer any questions. Come and read on our website Wuxiao World site. Thanks, Huashao said with excitement in his eyes. I do. There's a part in this smithing method that said, Huashao told her all the parts he didn't understand before, and after Lu Muyan heard it, she gave out incisive answers with 2 or 3 sentences, which made him suddenly become enlightened. He didn't dare to underestimate this little master even more. There was even a feeling of worship for her that rose within him. One questioned and one answered like this for most of the day. Within the 3 days, Huashao was constantly studying this smithing method, and whenever he encountered any incomprehensible parts, he would go to the courtyard and ask Lu Muyan. Lu Muyan also didn't conceal anything and clarified for him one by one. On the 3rd night, Lu Muyan discussed with him again before leaving. Huashao, I have to leave the Imperial capital for some time for some things. You can just stay in this courtyard researching the smithing method and stabilize your understandings as a grade 3 smith first. All right. I'll listen to everything Little Master says. Huashao was currently completely convinced by Lu Muyan, and there was only one thought in his heart. He'd follow her all his life with thickened skin and be hard to shake off. Lu Muyan smiled with satisfaction and said, I'm going to build a private army of 100 people for the Lu clan. Their magic treasures will be handed over to you to forge, and I'll let my dad send you the materials. What were disciples used for? After teaching, naturally they were used for hard work. All right, I must build a private army with the strongest forces for Master. With Little Master's smithing methods, his smithing skills would be even better. Making high-quality magic treasures for 100 people would merely take some time and effort, but it was his honor to do things for his master. Lu Muyan nodded with a small smile and stretched out her hand to pat the clean Huashao. Smithing is a must, but you must also take care of your body too. Little Master, I'll combine work and rest like you said, so you can go to the Yi clan with an ease of heart. Leave the magic treasures the Lu clan needs to me. Hua Xiao was deeply moved in his heart. After living for so long, no one had ever cared about his body. But he didn't display his feelings, and instead remembered it in his heart. Then thanks for your hard work. Lu Muyan didn't hesitate to exploit this disciple, but she was also exceptionally generous. When she directly gave a piece of heavenly frost golden crystal to Hua Xiao earlier, it almost frightened him stupid. It's not hard work. It's worth all the hard work as long as it's for little master. Hua Xiao buttered up to her inwardly, feeling exceptionally pleased. Recognizing her as master was truly too correct. Bing Ji, who stood on Lu Muyan's shoulders, just didn't like that look of fawning and pursed his lips in disdain. Sycophant. Bald bird, you try and say that again. Hua Xiao rolled up his sleeves and wanted to step forward to take care of that colorful parrot that mocked him all day long. Don't think that just because your little master's spirit pet that your tail can turn upwards towards the sky one. Bing Ji's eyes were full of ridicule. Just you, a sloven, and you dare threaten this uncle too. TSK, go cultivate another 100 years. Do you believe that lousy 3 will pluck all your feathers out? Hua Xiao stretched out his hands to try to catch the colorful parrot. Lu Muyan couldn't help rolling her eyes. This human and that bird argued as soon as they saw each other. Her head hurt just from listening. Enough. Hua Xiao, you go back and rest. I'll be leaving. Lu Muyan stopped Hua Xiao's outstretched hand, otherwise had definitely chased the bird all over the yard chaotically. Master. Hua Xiao looked at Lu Muyan aggrievedly. Why don't you stay one more night and leave tomorrow morning? He actually felt really reluctant for little master to leave. She was beautiful and kind-hearted, talented and had high comprehension. He really didn't know which stinky boy would be blessed with her in the future. Sloven, you. Just as Bing Ji wanted to continue taunting, he was stopped by Lu Muyan's gaze that appeared to be throwing a cold knife at him, and he reluctantly shut his mouth. Come true one, like stick your nose up to the sky, meaning to be arrogant. 2 arrogant term of self-address. 3 just a reminder that, lousy technically translates to your father, but in this case, considering its usage in another novel of this author's, translating it to your father is just weird. It's an arrogant way of saying I, used often by men. I'm going to keep it as it is. Geez, these numerous self-addresses that they have to the point I can't even find any more translations for it. LOL note, so I realized that I used master to translate 2 different words and. Technically speaking, they're both translated as master everywhere else you look, Google, other novels etc., probably. But also has the meaning of owner, which is what Lu Muyan is to Bing Ji. Well, you'd often hear it as Shifu in English-speaking movies and shows or whatever, is a master that might teach you things, like a teacher, but more intimate because being of someone usually means they teach you practically everything they know and you inherit most, if not all, their knowledge, usually, and you, as a disciple, get other benefits like obtaining special magic tools or weapons or stuff much easier, usually as gifts. Anyways, point is, if you see the words little owner or owner come out of Bing J's beak in future chapters, to translate, that's me, once again, deciding to change the translation LOL. Which means I'll also once again go back to change the translation in previous chapters, when I'm bothered XD. Chapter 135. Arrive at the Yi clan. Lu Muyan rode her horse straight to meet Yunlan outside the Imperial capital. She asked Lu Zhantian and Lu Moyu, for the time being, to carefully select 200 sword masters with potential from the Lu clan's army, and then shall personally select 100 of them to raise as private soldiers after returning from the Yi clan. The news that she hadn't died in the glacial mountain range was also temporarily sealed, so aside from the reliable people of the Lu clan, only a few superiors of the Imperial family knew. The Imperial family and Empire Academy also left a place for her to participate in the event after the trial selection. Taking advantage of the chaos in the Imperial capital during this period, she rushed to the Yi clan to cure Elder Yi and Yi Qinglu. Meanwhile, Yunlan wanted to find Yi Qinghan to exchange pointers, so she invited him to accompany her. When Lu Muyan arrived at the appointed place outside the Imperial capital, she saw a tall, sturdy man riding on a pure black tailwind horse, waiting. "Elder cousin brother, I made you wait." Lu Muyan rode up to Yunlan's side and said apologetically with a smile. Yunlan turned his head with compassion in his eyes. "No problem, I also just arrived. Let's go." With a cue from Lu Muyan, her horse galloped away. Upon seeing this, Yunlan quickly followed and asked as they rushed, "Yenner, how's your eldest brother?" "He's already awake, but because he previously used the blood spirit skill, he injured some of his origin, so he needs some time to recover." Lu Muyan's eyes were filled with coldness. She must make those behind the scenes pay a heavy price. Originally, Lu Mubai wanted to follow them in their plan to go to the Yi clan, but because he was injured and received backlash from when he was in the glacial mountain range, he needed to recuperate, so he had to give up. Fortunately, she had learned some methods of managing and healing one's origin, otherwise without maybe 3 to 5 years, her eldest brother wouldn't be able to recover. Then that's good. Yunlan sighed in relief. "Yenner, how do you plan on taking care of the Gu clan?" The methods used by those in black to forcibly increase their strength was exactly the same as that displayed by Gu Yenran. It was absolutely impossible to say that there weren't any connections between the two. "I'll wait until they reveal their own cloven hoof one. I always have a feeling that the Gu clan's very weird. What they want to achieve isn't trivial." She decided to lure the snake out of the cave to see what the Gu clan's purpose was. If they're really colluding with other kingdoms, Yanzhou Kingdom would be in a disadvantageous position. "I wonder if Emperor Father is on the alert." Yunlan sighed. Lu Muyan chuckled. "Paternal Uncle Emperor is very shrewd." Always indulging the Gu clan's growth was probably for the purpose of throwing out bait to catch the bigger fish. In the future, he can use the wealth and resources that the Gu clan accumulated over the years for himself too. It was just a pity that everything was almost ruined by the bait. But she had cured Yun Tianchen's poison before she left, so she believed Gu Yanting wouldn't succeed. "Are you saying that Emperor Father knew that the Gu clan's hearts were impure?" Yunlan had an epiphany. Lu Muyan nodded. "I guess Paternal Uncle Emperor is playing a game of chess, and the Gu clan is a key chess piece. So that's how it is. No wonder some of the actions of Emperor Father made me slightly puzzled. But now that I think again, it seems normal." Yunlan thought deeply. Lu Muyan didn't tell Yunlan about his Emperor Father being inflicted with the love-making poison. How is paternal aunt? Empress Mother has been fascinated by arrays recently and has been studying arrays all day long. I think she's been pretty well. Yunlan's expression softened a lot when he mentioned Lu Moz. His former Empress Mother constantly revolved herself around Emperor Father and had no self to speak of. Now that she had something that interested her, it appeared that her whole person had a brilliance she previously lacked with a strange charm. As long as paternal aunt knows what she wants, then that's fine. Lu Muyan also smiled in relief. On this continent where strength was respected, women couldn't always rely on men. The two chatted while rushing, and 10 days passed quickly. The 10 distinguished clans were first-rate forces of the eastern region. They were distributed in 10 big cities near each other, and they were located in the core area of the eastern region. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks, the prosperity of each of the 10 distinguished clan cities were not inferior to that of the imperial capital and was even larger and more prosperous. When the two approached Luoshi city near the Yi clan, the sky had gradually dimmed already, and the afterglow of the rays of evening sunlight enveloped the entire towering city, giving it a taste of dusk. Entering Luoshi city was the same as entering Glacial City, both needing to pay a certain amount of ink gold coins which could guarantee one's safety in the city. Fighting and killing weren't allowed, otherwise they'd be punished by the Yi clan of the city lord's mansion. After entering Luoshi City, the two didn't live in an inn, but instead directly went to the city lord's mansion. The city lord's mansion was located in the golden location of the southernmost section of Luoshi City. It was towering and dignified, and even carried a simplistic and unsophisticated aura. There were 2 teams of guards guarding the gate, but there weren't any Qilin statues at the gate of the mansion like other mansions. Instead, there were 2 tall and majestic Tier 4 white Lin lion demonic beasts guarding it. Both demonic beasts carried a strong sense of righteousness and squatted on their heels on the side without being distracted. As long as someone approached, they would cast fierce gazes towards them, and those who had little courage simply wouldn't even dare to pass. It deserves to be a clan of spirit beast masters well known throughout the entire eastern region. They used Tier 4 demonic beasts just to guard the house. Yunlan couldn't help but sigh with emotion as he dismounted his horse and stared ahead. Lu Mu Yen smiled. How can you rank second without the means and skills? Roar! Seeing outsiders approaching, the 2 white Lin lions roared at them with warning. With a smile on Lu Mu Yan's face, the beast taming method operated in her dantian, and she pulled Yunlan, walking directly forward. Ever since she advanced to the cultivation base of Sword King, she could start to use some secret skills. The first layer of the beast taming method could also begin to operate. As long as the cultivation base of the demonic beast was lower than hers, then she could suit them all. The 2 white Lin lions suddenly felt a sense of comfort from her, and instantly became quiet. The 2 groups of soldiers that guarded the outside were surprised to see the 2 pass by the white Lin lions safely. The 2 lions reacted a little at first, but now they just squatted on the ground and the ferocious looks in their eyes had long disappeared. The captain of the guards, who had better judgment, scrutinized the 2, then greeted them with a smile. May I ask what the reasons for your arrivals at our city lord's mansion are? Lu Mu Yen took out a jade pendant with the word Yi engraved on it and handed it to the capital of the guards with a faint smile, saying, "I'm the friend of your young lord Yi Qing Han. Give him this pendant and he'll naturally know who we are." The head guard took a look at the jade pendant and his eyes couldn't conceal the shock. This was the young lord's personal token. It was now in the possession of this gorgeous woman with an otherworldly temperament. It seemed that their relationship wasn't simple. "Young miss, sir, please wait a moment, I will report it right away." The head guard's attitude became much more friendly, and after speaking, he asked others to take Lu Mu Yen and Yunlan into the Yi clan's reception hall. Lu Mu Yen and Yunlan exchanged a glance, then walked through Yi clan's gate with a smile. The Yi clan city lord's mansion had white marbled steps and carved railings, fine terraces and exquisite rooms, crimson roofs and glazed tiles, high buildings and towers, waterside pavilions and caved fences, all covered with one glance. The most important thing was that every other scenery would be separated by an array. If someone accidentally broke in and didn't understand arrays, then they'd be trapped and be unable to find the exit. After the guard brought the 2 to the reception hall, they told someone to serve 2 cups of tea, then stood aside like an old monk sitting in meditation, unmoving. Lu Mu Yen picked up the blue and white porcelain teacup with inked bamboo and took a sip. Suddenly, there was a rush of footsteps from outside the door. Mu Yen. There were strange emotions hidden in Yi Qing Han's voice, and a tone of pleasant surprise spouted out from his lips and echoed in the hall. Come true, one saying meaning shall wait until they reveal their own true nature. Chapter 136. First time casting her interpersonal network. One first heard his voice, then saw his person. Yi Qing Han was still dressed in a dark patterned black robe and had an outstanding temperament, but if one looked closely, one could still find that in addition to his excitement, there was also a slight haggard feeling. Qing Han. Lu Mu Yen put down the teacup and stood up with a smile. Yunlan also got up and greeted, young Lord Yi. When Yi Qinghan saw that aside from Lu Muyen, Yunlan also came, he was surprised in his heart but didn't reveal it on his face. There was still a slight smile on his face. Mu Yen, third prince, take a seat. Yi Qinghan sat down opposite the two of them and there was less of a feeling of distance compared to when he faced others. Mu Yen, third prince, you two didn't even send a message before you came, I could have prepared. He didn't want to believe that Lu Muyen was dead when he was in the glacial mountain range. He originally wanted to wait for her to come out of the lava pool, yet who knew that he and his younger sister were forcefully knocked unconscious by his little paternal uncle and taken away. After returning to the Yi clan, he had constantly been inquiring about any news of Lu Muyen. Little paternal uncle had told him that Lu Muyen was already saved by Monarch Ming, and he believed it firmly in his heart, but had been worried the entire time, and had been absent-minded in everything that he did. Now that he personally saw Lu Muyen alive without any losses, his heart that was hovering had finally been placed back down. I came here to cure Elder Yi and Qinglu. My elder cousin brother wanted to discuss sword skills with you. It was all spontaneously decided, so we didn't send news first. Lu Muyen smiled. Where's Qinglu? Qinglu is attending to some guests. I've already asked people to call her. As soon as Yi Qinghan's words fell, Yi Qinglu rushed in from outside the gate, then hugged Lu Muyen and rubbed her shoulder with her head. Elder sister Muyen, I just knew you'd be fine. Lu Muyen's heart softened a bit and she reached out her hand to pat Yi Qinglu's head, then said with a smile, I've got a lot of luck. Yi Qinglu let go of Lu Muyen and sat next to her, affectionately hugging her arm, saying, Elder sister Muyen, you didn't even say a word in advance before coming to the Yi clan. You made elder brother and I worried to death. Well, isn't it so that I could give you both a surprise? Lu Muyen scraped her beautiful nose with a bit of pampering in her eyes. I was just wondering why Qinglu was running so fast, so it turned out that young Miss Lu came. A clear and melodious voice sounded in the hole. As soon as Lu Muyen looked up, Shifeng, Mu Yi and a beautiful woman in blue came in. This is... Lu Muyen smiled lightly and looked at the woman who spoke. She had seen this woman before, but they had never spoken to each other. My name's Mu Xia. We saw each other at the glacial mountain range last time. Mu Xia's attitude was rather friendly, and she wasn't hostile to Lu Muyen like Xueling and the others. Lu Muyen smiled softly. Greetings, young Miss Mu. Ever since the glacial mountain range, I've been more interested in young Miss Lu. Don't mind making a friend? Mu Xia said naturally and unrestrained with a smile. Naturally, I don't mind. Lu Muyen usually preferred refreshing and straightforward women, so her impression of Mu Xia was rather good. Yi Qinglu smiled broadly. Elder sister Muyen, Mu Xia is also my best friend. I can see it. Lu Muyen was very lenient on the lively and cheerful Yi Qinglu. Young Miss Lu, third prince. Shifeng and Mu Yi nodded to them. Lu Muyen and Yunlan also exchanged a polite greeting. Young Lord Shi, young Lord Mu. Who knew that young Miss Lu could survive even after falling into that lava pool? You've truly hidden your skills well. Mu Yi said with a smile. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks, it was just a fluke. Lu Muyen said modestly. Mu Yi lowered his head and smiled, obviously not believing in her excuse, but he didn't say much in fear of rousing dislike from her. Yi Qinghan checked the time of day and stood up, saying to the few people, dinner is ready, let's take a seat at the table together. Sure. The several people were led by Yi Qinghan to the dining hall for dinner. After dinner, Yi Qinglu hugged Lu Muyen's arm tightly and said enthusiastically, Elder sister Muyen, sleep in my courtyard tonight. Lu Muyen just so happened to want to check on Yi Qinglu's body, so she nodded, sure. Young Miss Lu can heal Elder Lu's chronic illness. Shifeng remained expressionless and silent ever since their meeting to the end of the meal, and only lifted his head to ask when Lu Mu Yen and Yi Qinglu were about to leave. Why there was any connection between Lu Mu Yen and Yi Qing Han? All of the 10 distinguished clans except the Ling clan had gone to investigate the reason, so they naturally also knew that Lu Mu Yen had treated Elder Lu before. Indeed. Lu Mu Yen didn't conceal it either. I came to the Yi clan this time specifically to treat Elder Lu and Qinglu. Soon, she had removed the fetal poison for Yi Qinglu, so instead of letting these people investigate it themselves, it was better to say it herself. It could even instead rouse good feelings of her among them. Judging from the familiarity between Mu Yi, Shi Feng, and Yi Qing Han, the relationship between the 3 clans in secret was probably very intimate, and there had long been an alliance. She wanted to help the Ling clan deal with the Shui clan and Xan clan, so it was the best choice to develop a good relationship with these 2 young lords. But in this continent where strength was respected, there were prerequisites for forming a good relationship. In terms of impressive family backgrounds, the Lu clan was inferior to the 10 distinguished clans, so Mu Yi and Shi Feng wouldn't lower themselves on purpose to befriend her just because she was the Lu clan's descendant, or because she was the granddaughter of the Ling clan. Aside from family background, the only reason for these proud, favored children of heaven to be completely convinced and befriend someone, was only strength. She was an alchemist. In others' eyes, she couldn't be compared to the alchemists of older alchemist clans like the Shi clan, but if she could cure the chronic illness and poison that even the Shi clan's grade 4 alchemist couldn't cure, then even if she didn't take the initiative, the 2 clans' younger generation would naturally want to think about befriending her. This time, she came because she thought that participating in the continental tournament for hegemony would delay some time, so she took some time out to come to the Yi clan to cure the poison for Elder Lu and Yi Qinglu first. 1. It was because of the promise, and 2. Because of her affection towards them. It's just that now she actually met the Shi clan's young lord and the Mu clan's young lord, then she'd naturally have to get acquainted with and befriend them. Those that lived in this world and silently cultivated alone were generally those wandering cultivators who had no one to depend on and without anything to care about. As a daughter of the Lu clan, she needed to share the burden for her clan, and so it was also important to associate with powerful forces and cast her interpersonal network. And the one thing that alchemists and smiths didn't lack were social connections. This was something that she had already deeply experienced in her previous life. A high-level alchemist or smith didn't even need to take the initiative to make friends with others, and there'd still be countless people who sent themselves to their door to weave a reliable network of connections. With one word, numerous powerhouses would become the forces behind them. This was also one of the reasons why the Shi, Mu, and Yi clan have been standing in the top 3 of the 10 distinguished clans for forever, and one of the reasons why the other clans simply didn't dare to provoke them. To cure Qinglu. You can cure her fetal poison. Mu Xiao's eyes were filled with bewilderment and suspicion. Although Lu Mu Yen displayed strong combat power, but the poison that even the ancestor of the Shi clan couldn't cure after trying, could a teenage sword master cure it? Obviously, it was incredulous. Shi Feng didn't display any excessive expressions on his face as usual, but there was a hint of interest in his eyes. In his heart, he also didn't think that Lu Mu Yen could cure Yi Qinglu's fetal poison, but he wanted to see just what she possessed to be so confident. Young Miss Lu, if you don't mind, could you let me watch how you cure the poison? Come true. Chapter 137, Pretending to be calm or actually capable? Hearing Shi Feng ask this, let alone Mu Yi and Mu Xia, even Yi Qing Han wanted to. Lu Mu Yen smiled indifferently and said, you can, but I need to treat Elder Lu's chronic illness first. Do you also want to watch? Elder Lu's chronic illness was much easier to treat than Yi Qinglu's fetal poison. Young Miss Lu is so generous, then I won't be polite. Shi Feng nodded. Many years ago Elder Lu was injured by a sword monarch's sword aura. His meridians were blocked and his cultivation base halted. The Yi clan also used to spend high prices to invite many pharmacists or alchemists to treat him, and even a grade 3 alchemist of their Sher clan came to see him. But in the end, they ended up unable to heal the illness. He had also studied Elder Lu's chronic illness and thought of a method, but it was too dangerous, so he had never proposed it. Now he wanted to see just how Lu Mu Yen cured this type of chronic illness. Mu Yen, you don't mind if 2 more people watch, right? Mu Xiao's heart also felt as if it had been scratched by a cat one. Yi Qinglu was her bosom friend. If she couldn't cure the fetal poison, then she wouldn't live past 18 years old. Even if she didn't believe that Lu Mu Yen could cure it, she still felt an inexplicable hope rise in her heart. I don't mind. Lu Mu Yen didn't care how many people watched her treatments. She had a calm and firm disposition, and few people could affect her from applying needles. Mu Yen is indeed straightforward. I'm definitely befriending a person like you. Mu Xiao liked women who weren't pretentious, and Lu Mu Yan's straightforwardness suited her taste very well. Lu Mu Yan smiled at her, turned her head, and looked at Yi Qing Han, saying, Qing Han, find a peaceful and quiet place and invite Elder Lu over, please. All right. Yi Qing Han ordered the people behind him, then took the several people to a quiet courtyard in the Yi clan. The people chatted idly and waited, while Lu Mu Yan and Mu Xia also felt as if they had been friends for many years and were very agreeable with each other. Especially Mu Xia. She found that no matter what she was talking about, Lu Mu Yan had things to say, and was very insightful. Even Mu Yi and Shi Feng, who were sitting by their side, couldn't resist but look askance at them. About a quarter of an hour later, Yi Zhan in a simple attire, and an elegant middle-aged man walked in, followed by Elder Lu and a red-haired old man. Yi Qing Han and Yi Qing Lo were surprised to see both of them, Dad, little paternal uncle. Uncle Yi, Senior Yi. Mu Yi and the others immediately stood up and greeted the two in front formally. Nephews and nieces are too polite. The elegant middle-aged man waved his hand with a smile, then cast his eyes on Lu Mu Yan and said, smiling, this is the little girl of the Lu clan, yes? Greetings, Uncle Yi. Lu Mu Yan addressed politely. We welcome you and the third prince to the Yi clan. Yi Chen displayed some kindness in his eyes, and he and Yi Zhan walked to the other side and sat down. Let's all sit. Elder Lu and the other old man in red also found a place to sit, then they looked at Lu Mu Yan together. I've heard that Lu girl doesn't mind others watching when treating illnesses. Yi Zhan and I also came to join in the fun. If it's inconvenient, then we'll leave first. Yi Chen smiled and said to Lu Mu Yan. Lu Mu Yan said neither humbly nor haughtily, this junior does not mind. Her tone was very light, evidently not nervous about 2 big Buddhas too watching her. Her humble attitude carried confidence, which actually made everyone here think even highly of her. Lu girl, feel free to let loose your hands and feet 3 and perform freely, we won't disturb you. This was a guarantee. Lu Mu Yan nodded with a smile, then walked to a seat beside Elder Lu and sat down. Elder Lu, how have you been? Greetings young Miss Lu, this old man is very glad to be able to see young Miss again. Elder Lu's tone was very affectionate towards Lu Mu Yan, and his eyes hid faint excitement. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks, you'll take your pulse first. Elder Lu stretched out a hand and put it on the table between the 2 seats, please. Lu Mu Yan placed 2 fingers on Elder Lu's wrist, and she also probed into his body with a sliver of mental energy to understand the situation. After a while, she retrieved her hand and asked, recently, when the chronic illness breaks out, the pain isn't as severe as before, right? Ever since the last time young Miss treated me with the golden needles, I'm no longer pained to the bones, nor wish to rather die than live, which were things that I used to feel every 3 months when it breaks out. Even if there is a little feeling of pain, it was just like tickling, as if nothing. Elder Lu smiled sincerely. Elder Lu, Is it that you can now absorb some spiritual force and run it in your dantian, but it can't remain for a long time? Lu Mu Yen continued to ask. Elder Lu nodded. Indeed, but this old man is already very pleased to be able to absorb spiritual energy again. It is all thanks to young mistreatment last time. Elder Lu is too polite. Lu Mu Yen smiled. I already have a cure for your chronic illness, and I can cure it as long as I refine a pill and pair it with the golden needles. If the young miss can truly cure this old man's chronic illness, then this old man will owe you a life. Elder Lu clasped his hands together tightly. Only he could deeply understand the feeling of having found something again that he had lost. Lu Mu Yen smiled lightly and said, I had a deal with Qing Han before, and he's already paid for the fees for your treatment. I'm just here to fulfill it, so Elder Lu has no need to be this formal. Elder Lu, just take the treatment with a peace of mind. I'll discuss with Mu Yen about the repayment. Yi Qing Han looked at Elder Lu with a smile on his lips. Just let him repay this favor. Elder Lu wasn't quarrelsome either, so he cupped his hands at Lu Mu Yen, gratefully saying, a mere thank you is an insufficient response to such a huge favor. Then I will trouble young Miss Lu. Lu Mu Yen took out a brush and paper from her interspatial ring and wrote a list to hand to Yi Qing Han. These are the spiritual herbs I need to refine the pill. Please prepare a portion. As soon as Yi Qing Han was about to take it, the red-haired old man next to Elder Lu smiled and said, Little girl, can you let this old man take a look at your spiritual herbs list? Lu Mu Yen knew the other was also an alchemist, so she smiled and passed the paper into his hands directly. The red-haired old man took the list and read it once, then confusion rose in his eyes. He had never seen a pill formula composed of these spiritual herbs before, and he had a thought in his heart, I have all these spiritual herbs in my interspatial ring. Will little girl refine the pills now? He really wanted to see what this little girl was capable of, and what kind of pills she wanted to refine. Then I trouble Senior to take out the spiritual herbs. I'll refine it now. Lu Mu Yen also didn't want to delay any more time. All these people remained here undoubtedly because they wanted to see her capabilities, so Shell just confidently and naturally let them see enough. The red-haired old man didn't hesitate either, immediately took out the spiritual herbs that Lu Mu Yen required from his interspatial ring one by one and placed it in front of her. These spiritual herbs weren't that rare, but they were mostly medicines for dredging and promoting blood circulation. He usually carried some with him, but who knew it could be of use now? Lu Mu Yen swept the spiritual herbs on the table with her eyes. Seeing that the age of each were relatively high, she took out the cyan cauldron with satisfaction and was ready to start refining pills in front of everyone. Mu Yen, do you need us to withdraw for you to refine pills? Yi Qing Han knew that many alchemists liked to work independently when refining pills and didn't like to be disturbed by outsiders. Lu Mu Yen didn't expect Yi Qing Han, a man, to be so attentive, but she didn't have those habits. She'd already refined pills in front of the Imperial family before, so whether there were people or whether there were none didn't have much effect on her. No problem, no need to withdraw. Her words also increased the interest in the eyes of the people present. They sure wanted to see if she was just pretending to be calm, or whether she was actually capable. Translated product by May R. Come true. One feeling as if a cat scratched one's heart simply means they were very curious. Like itching with curiosity. Two Buddhas here simply means important people. It can often be used sarcastically, though in this case, it's just merely used to describe two significant people. 3. Telling Lu Mu Yen to have no qualms and do what she needs to, basically to relax herself. Chapter 138, Messing Around. Or Well-Hidden Skills. Under everyone's expectations, Lu Mu Yen threw a wisp of fire condensed from fire elemental energy into the cyan cauldron. She hadn't formed a core yet, so she couldn't use the core flame, but this continent had one factor that was better than the immortal cultivation world, and that was elemental energy condensation. After advancing to Sword King, the elemental energy flames that she condensed to use for refining pills weren't inferior to core flames at all. Of course, if she used the purple gold spirit flame to refine pills, then it'd be the best, but she didn't want to expose her trump card. Shi Feng and the red-haired old man stared at her refining pills and were startled when they saw that she had thrown the spiritual herbs into the cauldron one after another in a row. This little girl truly is messing around. Where do you see such a way of refining pills? The red-haired old man couldn't help furrowing his brows as he communicated telepathically to Shi Feng. After all, there were only the two of them here who were alchemists. Shi Feng folded his arms and sat quietly, but his heart couldn't calm down. Is she trying to combine the spiritual herbs together to refine? How could so many spiritual herbs combine to refine? Even your Shi clan's ancestor couldn't do it. I really question if she's just playing with us. The red-haired old man said angrily. Elder Lu and he were close friends. He was excited for a long time after hearing that someone could cure Elder Lu's chronic illness, yet who knew he'd see such a disappointing scene. Alchemists needed to follow the principle of gradual progress when refining pills. After each spiritual herb was successfully refined, then they'd continue to refine the second, then eventually combine all the refined powders to condense the pill. But what was the Lu clan's little girl doing? Throwing all the spiritual herbs into the cauldron indiscriminately, did she think she was cooking? Even when cooking, there was an order to the ingredients, right? Seeing Lu Muyan's actions, Yi Qin and Yi Zhan couldn't help but feel a sense of disappointment in their hearts as well. Although they weren't alchemists, but they'd seen many alchemists refine pills. Lu Muyan's approach wasn't like something an alchemist should do. Could it be that she didn't know alchemy at all, and was just teasing them? But Elder Lu's condition was indeed controlled by her. Although disappointed, but no one in the room stopped Lu Muyan. They sure wanted to see how this girl would cure Elder Lu's chronic illness later. Lu Muyan naturally felt the complicated and disheartened gazes of several people, but she didn't care. What others couldn't do, didn't mean she couldn't do it either. Her mental energy was several times, or even dozens of times that of other alchemists. Others could only slowly refine the spiritual herbs one by one, but she could do multiple tasks at the same time and divide her spiritual energy into countless strands to envelop the spiritual herbs, control the flames and refine. The most important thing was that she didn't want to hide her abilities here. She needed the approval of these three distinguished clans in order to act more easily in the future. With a thought, Lu Muyan divided the flames in the cauldron into more than a dozen wisps, individually roasting each spiritual herb wrapped in mental energy. In just a moment, several small piles of different colored powders appeared in the cauldron, and they were all separated by mental energy. The cauldron actually didn't explode. The red-haired old man let out a soft gasp of surprise. He was originally counting down the time, waiting for Lu Muyan's cauldron to explode due to the random refining, but after waiting for so long, no abnormalities occurred. The most important thing was that he actually smelled the scent of successfully refined medicinal powder from the cauldron. Shi Feng's expression didn't change, but he was very surprised and confused in his heart. How did she refine so many spiritual herbs at the same time? Yi Qin tapped his finger gently on his thigh. Seeing Lu Muyan calmly continuing to throw spiritual herbs into the cauldron, he spoke telepathically to Yi Zhan. Say, do you think she can really refine so many spiritual herbs at once? If it were under normal circumstances, she'd have failed the refining long ago. But I don't smell any burnt scent. Maybe. Although she's young, but she hides her skills well. Yi Zhan had always felt that Lu Muyan gave him an indescribable feeling ever since they first met. She seemed to be faintly dangerous, yet it didn't make sense. However, he didn't regard her as an opponent to be removed. That slight sense of danger was just an instinct, but there wasn't any feeling of terror, which indicated that Lu Mu Yen wouldn't be a threat to him. Lu Mu Yen had a variety of methods, but as long as she didn't disadvantage the Yi clan, then they could become friends. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. The several people no longer spoke and watched Lu Mu Yen refine pills nervously. Seeing that she was still tossing spiritual herbs into the cauldron one after the other, they couldn't resist twitching their lips. This sort of method of refining pills was probably Lu Mu Yan's original creation. After about an hour, Lu Mu Yen had refined all the spiritual herbs in the cauldron. With a thought, the dozens of wisps of flames merged and formed a cluster of large flames. The medicinal powders of different colors were wrapped by mental energy and merged together. She constantly changed the heat between small flames, medium flames, and high flames. Finally, her gaze sharpened. She controlled the fire excellently, and the rudimentary pills in the cauldron began to rotate, slowly growing lustrous and shiny. Up. After another quarter of an hour, her slender, jade-like hands slapped the cauldron, and 5 yellow pills flew out. A refreshing pill fragrance also spilled out from the cauldron, lingering on the tips of everyone's noses. She took out a white porcelain bottle, waved her hand casually in the air, and the 5 pills that had flown up fell into the porcelain bottle one after the other. After removing the elemental energy flame from the cyan cauldron, Lu Mu Yen also put the cauldron away. As soon as she looked up, she saw everyone stare at her with shock. Especially the red-haired man and Shifeng. Their gazes were as if it could burn a hole through her. "Little girl, what kind of pill did you refine?" The red-haired old man looked at Lu Mu Yen in confusion. He had been staring at this little girl since she began to refine pills. All the spiritual herbs had indeed been used, and he could judge based on the pill fragrance from the cauldron that this was a type of grade 2 pill that had the effect of dredging the meridians and promoting blood circulation. However, it was obviously not enough to treat Elder Lu's chronic illness with just these grade 2 pills. He suddenly looked forward to the next performances of the little girl. Shifeng's eyes were filled with the desire to investigate. Lu Mu Yan's method of refining pills was simply unheard of. If it were another alchemist who dared to refine it like this, then the entire cauldron perhaps would have long been trashed. In such a short period of time, to be able to refine a grade 2 pill that they had never even seen before, it seemed that she really must have a mysterious high-level alchemist as a master behind her. This is a grade 2 vitalizing pill, specifically used to clear meridians blocked by sword auras or internal injuries. Lu Mu Yen explained with a light smile. Then how were you able to refine, merge and condense so many spiritual herbs into a pill altogether? The red-haired old man's heart itched with curiosity and felt uncomfortable if he didn't ask. Lu Mu Yen raised an eyebrow and said, "Regarding this, please forgive me as I have no comment." He couldn't just tell them, "My mental energy is much stronger than yours, you all need to be focused when refining pills, but I can split my focus into multitudes." If she really said that, then even if she wasn't slapped to death, she'd probably be regarded as having some sort of mental illness. Lu Mu Yen answering like this instead made her more mysterious in the eyes of those present. It was only normal not to reveal such a secret. The red-haired old man also found himself to be abrupt and smiled awkwardly. "Apologies, this old man didn't intend to seek your methods of refining pills, I was just curious." Lu Mu Yen knew it was also unintentional, "No worries. Elder Sister Mu Yen, you're too amazing." When Uncle Wu refines pills, I don't even feel like he's as relaxed, calm and composed as you. Yi Qinglu had a face filled with admiration. The Uncle Wu she spoke of was the red-haired old man who had questioned Lu Mu Yen just now, and also the chief enshrined grade 3 alchemist of the Yi clan. Come true. You're tuning into the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.